Hello, and welcome to Destiny of an Emperor, one of a cool RPG for the NES that not a lot of people know about. There's definitely a handful of people that really like this game. I'm a pretty huge fan. I fortunately never played it when I was a kid, but I definitely like it. It's very Dragon Quest-like. But today we're going to do a any percent run, and I'm joined here by Theo Tilo to help me commentate this run.
Howdy. I love this. Absolutely love this game. I ran it myself for quite a while, yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Like you said, a lot of the Dragon Quest style aspects of it. So it has a lot of a similar feeling while having some other really interesting mechanics that make it a little more unique. And we'll get to those mechanics fairly quickly.
Yep. All right. So ready to go here, and I'll count you down to 3, 2, 1, go.
So we start off with the story. I don't know if you're familiar, but the story of just the big three: Guan Yu, Zheng Fei, Liu Bei, as the kind of founders of the Shu Dynasty. And this is the meeting and going off to defeat the Yellow Scarves, who are causing problems. So naturally, in an RPG, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to kill ourselves. That is the first goal of the run, is to get ourselves exterminated.
Flashing warning here.
Yeah, there's a food mechanic in this game, and if you don't have any food, every time you take a step, you lose 1% of your health. And since we didn't have any food to start with, that allows us to lower our health a little bit more.
Well, we got our first back attack of the run here. So like Theo said here, we're going to kill off Guan Yu and Zheng Fei. This is actually going to cause a glitch that will, if we do a cancel here, and then kill ourselves just because it's faster, that cancel is actually going to kill that general there at the top, as well as, like, what is it, 12 others?
Yeah, it's something like that, but it's gonna get rid of a lot of these early enemies. It gets rid of the first, like, 12 IDs in the list, and and these early enemies are among that. So when that happens, we'll point it out. But here we have this guy who does give you gold and food so that you don't end up having that flashing stuff. But we waited until now to talk to him because of the flashing helps us die faster. Now we're going to pick up another general. He's mainly going to be a meat shield, although he will have use in one particular battle. Yeah, we start off with some weapons, and so we're going to go equip all those, and so we have some offense for everybody. It's a pretty small bonus, but it's at least something.
Yeah, so normally for this battle, you have, what, 2 other named bosses? Instead, we get...
Yeah, you have Zhang Bao and Cheng Wan-Ji, and those are both gone. They've both been exterminated. Now, due to a particular game mechanic, Cheng Wan-Ji actually comes back to life in a little bit, but the Yellow Scarves do not. And so Zhang Bao is not going to be a problem. When we go back to that other fight, Zhang Jiao won't be there, and in a second here, we're going to see that Zhang Liang, which is supposed to be like the opening fight you fight, is not going to be there either. The encounter rate in this game is kind of Dragon Quest-y. It's a little high, but the nice thing is that movement in this game, you move a lot faster than you typically do in NES RPGs, which kind of makes the encounter rate feel like it's higher than it is, because you're taking a lot more steps than you're used to.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when you do try to run away and fail, it's quite slow because it uses the turn-based style of attacking, not the all-out, which is, I don't know, what, maybe 5 to 6 times faster?
Yeah, I think it's more than that even, but
Yeah.
It's a really nice mechanic when you like, oh, I've got this in the bag, and you can go through it. I always kind of compare this to Dragon Quest games, and I wish every Dragon Quest game had an all-out feature, because it's just so many times when you run into, trash, you just want to get rid of it, and a failed run is going to be so slow, you just go for it.
Right, it took them a long time to add that to Dragon Quest games, that side of fighting.
So we just got our first level up. We got a couple of our players who can be tacticians learned the Lianhua tactic, and it is going to be a fire tactic, which the tactics in this game are basically spells. Since they've all got Chinese names, you kind of have to either look at a manual, assuming you don't know the words, you either have to look at a manual or just learn what they do from playing around with them or reading guides and stuff. But in the game, you get to choose a player in your party to be a tactician. When they are the tactician, they will go to the bottom of your party, and they will, and any tactics they know, any of your players can use. But different tacticians have different tactics, so who you put in there is going to be very important, and we'll see a lot of that later in the game where we want to switch tacticians for the battle depending on which tactics they hold. And we get tactical points every level, anywhere from 3 to 5. So this is when we're supposed to fight Zhang Liang and these two rebel forces. He's not there, so it's a really, really fast battle. And now what's supposed to happen here is after that happens, we're supposed to have this gigantic battle here. You're not actually supposed to take it from here because this castle has the highest defense in the game. But you can go secretly through the back and fight only the 3 yellow scarves, and they have no extra defense. But first of all, this is real easy because they're all gone. Secondly, the guy who makes the bridge that you can cross to get across there, he is another one of the characters that has been removed by the extermination glitch we did earlier.
Yep, and so that's the yellow scarves section done. It used to take, what, like over 20 minutes in the past before that extermination glitch was found?
Yeah, it was kind of a slow thing to do. That Zhangjiao fight is quite challenging to pull off on low resources. So it's definitely a nice addition and really helps speed the early game on. The early game can definitely be the most frustrating part of the game in terms of when you're doing speedruns, because encounter rates are so bad. Later we have ways to mitigate that, but right now we don't, and so makes the game more fun to run. And now what he just did at the end of defeating the Yellow Scarves, Liu Bei was asked to become the regional leader, and so he left our party, and his brother Liu Feng came in to replace him. He is not as smart as Liu Bei. He cannot be a tactician, but he has more strength and more soldiers. Now in this game, soldiers are like hit points, but they have a really interesting mechanic in that the number of soldiers you have, the more soldiers you have, the more damage you do. It's based upon the number of digits in your soldiers count, and it's the square of that. So like, if you have, 2 soldiers left, you're going to be doing your minimum damage. If you have, double-digit soldiers, you're going to be doing 4 times that base damage. 100, you're going to be doing 9 times that base damage, etc., just going on the square of that number. And so, keeping yourself above those thresholds is going to be a very, very valuable thing to do throughout the game, so that your players do maximum damage.
Yeah, so the beginning of the game is definitely filled with a lot of random battles because we don't have the items yet to be able to repel them. We will get those in about, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes into the run.
And now here's a fight that was always, to me, one of the scariest play early on, but the Extermination glitch got rid of another General, Lubu, who has another 299 soldiers, and so this battle becomes a whole lot easier to do. Ideally, you want him going at Miji here, and well, ideally you don't want him killing anybody, but if he does, you want him to kill Miji.
This one's looking pretty good.
Yeah, pretty sweet. On the other side, we talked about keeping our stuff up. Also, when you're looking at these generals, getting them to that 2-digit number is really, really, as fast as possible, is really, really helpful. So we're going to go through there. We've been seeing EvilAsh pick up these axes as we've gone around. There's hidden weapons all over the place here in this game, and they are pretty substantial upgrades each time you get one. So picking them up wherever they are is almost always quite beneficial. There's pretty much none that you're okay skipping over. With one exception a little later. Now we just picked up Chichima. That is a very interesting item that you have no understanding of what it does based upon anything in the game, anything in the manuals, anything anywhere. I actually called Nintendo Power when I was a kid to ask them what it did, and they said it does nothing. But the truth is that every character in the game has a hidden agility stat, a stat that you can't see that determines that's used in the calculation to determine turn order. If the player has Chichima in their inventory, that agility stat is multiplied by 1.5 for them. And so often the player that has that is typically going to be the first player or the general that has it typically going to be the first general to go in a turn. So we will be seeing that particular thing moved around as the run goes on, depending upon who we want to go first.
Alright, we've hit 5 failed runs here.
Yeah, when you run into these battles with generals, it's a 1 out of 4 run fail rate, so this is obviously an unfortunate level, but it is something that happens quite a bit. When it's just the rebel forces, it's a 1 in 8 run fail rate. Every time I run this thing, I keep a running count of how many encounters, how many successful runs, because this little section right here is possibly the most obnoxious section to go through, because it's a required path. It's not a technically required path. You don't have to go through here for the game, but for a speed run, there's no even the task can't go faster without going through the section of the cave, or without the section of the, because it's gonna unlock another general for us. But it is just fun to sit there and go, okay, how many battles can I get through? Can I get through enough to keep my team from getting decimated? You don't want to, early on, if you lose all your soldiers, you can't just heal them back up. You have to use an item called a Resurrect on them. Those Resurrects cost 100 gold each, which later in the game is pretty meaningless, but at this point in the game, that's pretty expensive, and that's one reason that EvilAsh just went and got that gold chest back there, which is not typical for the speedrun, at least at this point, but is going to allow him to stock up on some extra items so that he can maintain extra safety throughout this run. You'll also notice that he's hugging the top of the walls. In some of these caves, the tiles directly under the wall that have those shadows in them are free spots. They cannot run into encounters, so you'll often see the path look like it's not necessarily the ideal path because you're going to run for those wall corners so that you can make the travel a lot faster.
Almost through here.
That was on a really nice floor. Really nice 2 floors.
Alright, so this is where I'm going to do a little bit of safety, like Theo mentioned here. I'm actually, since we got a bunch of gold, and we're going to buy these leathers later anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and buy 2 leathers. Oops, not a dagger. And get leathers.
The leather armor in this game is an incredibly valuable piece of armor. In my run of the speed run, my characters, when they get the leather armor, carry it through about 50% of the game before they finally before we finally switch it out for something better. It's got incredibly good defense for its price, and so getting it as early as possible helps out dramatically. Armor is just a pure percentage damage reduction based on its value, so the higher the armor, just the less damage you'll take altogether. And I don't have the numbers in front of me. The leather armor is really, really good reduction for its price.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like you said, armors that are like way more worth it versus others, price-wise. Especially in the speedrun, there's like really good spots to buy armor, and that's exactly where we buy them.
And the nice thing is, those spots to buy armor, the run just really kind of works out so that you have usually just enough or just a little bit more than you need to buy those armors. So it's a tight money route, but not tight enough that you're usually at risk of not getting it.
Alright, so we're gonna go
but
pick
you'll now
up.
see he's running into
ping.
more difficult battles because we're in the next encounter zone. Soldiers go up, which of course means damage goes up just based upon that. Now we just picked up one ping, who will only show up at the front of the cave once you have the gold key, which is one of the reasons it's so important to get the gold key. He is going to have more strength than anybody else that we have at this point. He's going to have more soldiers than anybody else. More strength than Liu Feng. And he's going to have more soldiers than anyone else. Guan Yu and Zheng Fei are two of the strongest characters in the game. But they are very low on soldiers at this point in time, and so that can hurt them because Zheng Fei has just a little over 100 hit points, one hit, and all of a sudden his damage is dropped by more than 50%, which is unfortunate. Whereas Guan Ping and Liu Feng are going to keep their damage pretty consistent for a while. And now this is, to me, the single most reset-heavy battle in speedrun because you play it aggressively. Here we're going to play it a lot safer. You're going to see our first use of tactics, as we're going to use the fire tactics by some of the more intelligent generals to take out Lubu. Lubu is the strongest character in the game, has the maximum strength, and you can see that as the damage goes down. That since he has the leather there, that did not look as bad as it could have, but he can just completely destroy your characters without a whole lot of difficulty if things don't get ordered right. So we're going to take this battle a little more slowly and make sure that we focus fire on him to get him down to his safe range before we consider going all out. I'm not sure how far we're going to play the safety, but at least get Lubu out.
Yeah, once we get him below 100 soldiers, it's usually pretty safe at this point to all out.
Yeah, there is a possibility that Liu here can really be a problem. He's the first one to have the upgraded fire tactic, which can do 100 damage to your characters, and that is not affected by armor, I don't believe. And so it can be pretty hefty, and he can really destroy you if he wants to. He also has a healing tactic that can keep him alive, but it looks like we have not had any issues with that. Barely keeping Guan Yu alive, and we have defeated Lubu. This will not be the last we will see of him.
And this is where we get our, I think, only double level of the run. Assuming things go correct later on. So we're going to head back to the camp here to use the inn again, because it's actually the only spot we can inn here through this beginning section of the game that's close, before we make our way towards the capital city.
Yeah, this little run right here is, again, because of potential encounter rates, obnoxious, because you're about to fight, I keep saying this, but you're going to fight by far the toughest battle for a while in a minute here, and you're going to possibly lose some soldiers just getting there. And so you got to fill up here, go on, and then it can be, and then see what happens. So he did pick up or did you go into the fortress yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, he's about to go pick up yet another axe in the fortress for more offense, and he's going to pick up another strategist who's going to beat Huahu. And He's got more intelligence than Miji, and the reason intelligence matters is not just because it affects which tactics players use, and it affects or which tactics your team can use. It also affects which the likelihood of landing that tactic if you use it, but also the higher the intelligence, the more tactical points you have, which is like magic points. Your team has a maximum tactical point, but it's reduced based upon the intelligence of the acting strategist. So when you can get a more intelligent strategist, you get a higher percentage of that pool.
I like to point out that these guys are twins.
So now we're going to make him our strategist. We're going to put Miji at the top. And the reason we're going to do that is because at this point he has no value to us. And so we want to use him as a meat shield. Ideally you want Hu in the battle so he can use his own tactics because of his intelligence level. And you also want these other characters to not take any damage, or to not take much damage, because they're going to be more important for fighting. He does not have much value at all. So ideally you want everybody to focus on him and get him killed before the big battle. But we'll see what happens.
Yep, so we got 2 gate fights here. We're going to do both of them all out. Should be no problem. But like I said, ideally, Mija here at the top dies. But if not, it's not a huge deal. I do have a backup if he does not die at all in any of these fights. But hopefully we won't have to see that.
One of these 2 battles, either this one or the next one, there is the, I think it's this one, there is another General Guji who you will not be seeing. He is the last of the generals we will come across that have been exterminated by the Glitch. There are some other NPCs in a couple of towns that were also exterminated that are of no value to the run, or frankly even to the base game. They're absolutely terrible generals. But they are generals you can pick up in some of these early towns, and they've also been gone. But this is the last time that that particular glitch is going to serve us any purpose. Now we're going to heal ourselves up with all these elixirs. We're going to recover 100 hit points before we go into this really substantial battle. So unfortunately we didn't get through without Miji dying, so we were going to have him at the top as a meat shield again, not have quite the same offensive force that we would have had, but still pretty good. Right now, the tactic does much more damage than the attack, so if we can land them, that's pretty good. You just saw it did 70 some odd damage to Guan Yu, so you can see how they can get under 100 real fast, which is why these other generals are more valuable, or typically more valuable, even though they have less strength. We do fortunately have a healing tactic at this point. This Shishen is a healing tactic that covers a small amount of HP, but enough to kind of keep you over those thresholds. And so as mentioned before, our first goal is to get one of these generals below 100.
Alright, good.
Once we get them close, then it's usually not so bad with that. We do have plenty of resurrects that if something were to go awry, we can pull back and, resurrect, say, Guan Yu or something. But but Lubu doesn't have any kind of recovery mechanism. His damage output is relatively predictable, although he can crit. And so we go through him, beat him down. You can see how beat down the team is with strategies. That's why this can be a pretty tricky one casually. But we're going to get this level, and then we're going to go into Luoyang, the capital of the area that has been burned to the ground. But if you recall that gold key we got earlier, it happens to open up a little keyhole that's here and get us the gem sword. We find out from somewhere that Lubu is very fond of such things. And so we are going to try to entice Lubu to join our team by using that gem sword. Whether he will be enticed is something we have yet to see.
What's that? So it's a 50-50 shot that Lubu does accept the gem sword here, but in the meantime, you're kind of just wasting turns waiting for him to take it. So it can be, if he trolls us, it could be pretty slow.
Yeah, up to this point, a lot of the time, or trying to get through the battles fast, is really, really important. You know, you're kind of pushing things to their edge in this typical speed run, because, you know, easy reset points, whatever, so the battles can be pretty dangerous. What's really annoying is when you have a really good run going through those first battles, and then you get here, and Lubu doesn't know how to recognize a sword.
Alright, how many tries?
So what we're going to do is we're going to attack these rebel forces. They're going to be something we can easily get down, so that if he doesn't accept it and the turns go on... Hey, look at that. What's that?
What's that?
We can reduce the number of attacks the enemies are doing to us, and therefore speed the process up for any successive failure.
Alright. There we go. Second try.
Nice. So he's going to tell you where Chichuma is, but he doesn't give you the reference point. So he just tells you, if you want to go 8 yards west, 1 yard south, you can find my horse. But that's from that place where we fought Kuaxiang a long time ago, and there's no reference point for there. So the only reason anybody knew where it was at the time was Nintendo Power. But now we can go through the rest of this battle. It's a very, very simple, safe battle. We'll get through it, and then we'll have Lubu on our team, who is the strongest character in the game, has the most hit points of any character we've had so far, and is going to prove to be very helpful for the next little segment of the game. You'll notice that he's going to the inn here before resurrecting Zhengfei. That's because a resurrect actually restores 100 hit points, and the amount of hit points restored by, or it restores 400 hit points, and the amount the inn costs is based upon the number of living characters you have. So therefore, he goes to the inn first, because the elixir, or the resurrect, will restore Zhengfei to full health, and you don't have to, and it makes the inn a little bit cheaper. So we just picked up our next weapon, the club. The club's basically a 1.5 damage increase over the axe, so it's going to be very nice. Now you'll notice the very careful ordering of the team. The tactician is always at the bottom of your team. You can only have 5 people in the battle at once, and if you've got more than 5 people on your team and one of them is a tactician, that tactician is going to be out of the battle. So the location of that player doesn't really matter a whole lot. However, there is a glitch that's called the 7th slot glitch. And basically what that means is in your 7-person party, if the player in the 7th slot is a tactician and you gain a level and they learn a tactic, weird things can happen. It starts doing something you don't expect, and it can soft lock your game by marking a treasure chest with a key item is open. It can remove items from the game. That's the biggest thing it does. It has some other possible side effects, but it can completely stop the run. So we do use some strategy to avoid that, and that's why we wanted Miji dead, is because now we can put him higher in the list and get Zhang Fei at the bottom does not learn any tactics, so that we will not be susceptible to the 7-slot glitch and will not cause our run to risk stop block. At this point, we're going to go through some easier fights that we're just going to all out on, kind of giving us a little bit of a relief from the nastiness that was at Luoyang. But this next battle can be a little obnoxious, so I imagine we're going to play it slightly safe here.
I'm going to go ahead and all out this to start with, and then back off if it starts going poorly, is the basic plan here. Usually it goes fine. Yeah.
It's typically pretty safe, but this Jieshu character here does have a really nasty water tactic that he can use that can just destroy hit points. As you saw, Lubu was flying down, and that's because of the water tactic used by Jieshu. He can also restore HP, or soldiers, and so it can be a little bit of a difficulty if he decides to go really heavy on landing that water tactic. But that did not happen here. We had Lubu take an unfortunate death, but it was a really safe fight. So now we're going to do our first instance of inviting. Certain places have palaces, and you can invite Liu Bei to come join that palace and be there instead. When you save your game and you reset, you will start in front of wherever Liu Bei is located. And there are a lot of story triggers that requires Liu Bei to be somewhere. And so this is one of those story triggers. We need to invite him, and he's going to say, hey, look at this. You took care of Dong Zhuo, who was the big baddie at this point, so take a good rest. And they send you to the inn, get a good rest, and then you wake up and he wants you again. But before we worry about that, we are going to load up on more supplies, sell some supplies, get some gear. We're going to make our team much more robust, because our next difficult battle is coming relatively soon, or at least the more obnoxious one that can cause some can cause some problems along the way. So here you're going to see he's going to be buying smoke pots. Smoke pots are pretty expensive at this point in the game, but a smoke pot gives you, I don't remember what the step count is, but gives you a certain number of steps where you cannot run into random encounters. So this is where we start our process of avoiding the random encounters and really just trying to get from one battle and story trigger to the next, and the game starts getting a lot more fast-paced.
If it wasn't already fast enough.
Now we find out that Yuchu has stolen the seal of the Emperor, and we've got to go take care of that.
But first, some shopping.
We've upgraded armor for the rest of our characters that don't have armor, upgrading those who had the axe to get them the club, and so now we can really pull some damage in. Now we've reached Zone 3, and you're going to see the number of soldiers in the battles go up dramatically. Well, okay, this part's still in Zone 2. In a second here, we're going to be in Zone 3, and the hit points are going to go up dramatically, and you're going to see that at this castle where we fight Lebo. Fortunately, the game is nice by making these characters relatively weak, but the large soldiers means that they are damage sponges and get a lot of hits off.
Yep, the next section is usually fairly safe to all out. You'll occasionally use a character here and there, but That's why we buy the Resurrects for, so we can quickly recover.
Yeah, relying on your Resurrects is a big part of this early part of the speedrun, so you can go faster and be like, okay, well, if I lose somebody, I have the supply of them. And so as long as you have enough Resurrects and don't lose them, you can risk being a little more aggressive.
Yeah, so this section is kind of a balance between having enough attack power plus having enough defense to efficiently get through these battles.
Yeah, this battle, the defense is particularly important because these guys hit hard. They are the two strongest generals in this entire zone, and because they take a long time to get down below those levels, they can really be difficult. Or they can really cause problems right now when your resources are limited. You cannot buy Resurrects in this town, and so if they cause particular problems, you're just going to have to deal with those moving on. These guys are super weak, super easy to kill, one of the safest battles in the game, but they, you know, again, because they take so long to kill, they do end up kind of breaking down your health a little bit, so you can risk going on from here, but the other town is so close, we tend to prefer going back to the town to refill again before we continue on.
Yep, and it's also nice because you just now got a level so you can refill those soldiers that you're missing.
Yeah, we'll point out there's a lot of tactics we do not use. One of them is, there's one category which is water tactics, which can only be used if you are near water. We typically don't make any use of that. The big thing is water tactics are more powerful than fire tactics, and so you want to avoid getting enemies that can use water tactics on you, so staying away from water is good for that. But there is a couple of places where we are going to make great use of the water tactic later in the game, but for the most part, we are unable to use it.
Yeah, I've actually added a couple of water tactic fights early on here that you'll find out here soon.
Oh, nice.
I found they're slightly better than the fire tactics.
Again, this guy real simple, just gotta take the time to go through him. Now, we're about to come up on a castle. If you talk to an NPC a while back, they talk about how, like, the west gate of Nanyang is under construction. And so every castle in the game has a built-in defense value, which reduces the damage. However, for this particular castle, if you attack it from the left side, then the castle's defensive bonus is gone, which makes the battle a whole lot easier because you do a lot more damage. So you will see him come and approach it from the left. I believe that's one of 2 places where we care where we are when we start the battle. And see, we're just going to take this guy's super, super weak. We have a healing tactic, so we're just going to take a turn to just maximize all of our, or bring up all of our HP, or our soldiers as much as we want them, so that we have a little more survivability going towards the end. And then we're going to go off, attack this west thing, and take on, take on you and shoot.
So this usually is a pretty straightforward fight, but he can. A couple of these guys can show you with the tactics like we had earlier as well.
Yeah, this one's a little less problematic, but healing can be a problem, and the you and the N can throw strategies at you that are nasty sometimes. But so what happens here is when you and Shu, when you kill him, he's I'm the Emperor, let me go, and you can either deny that, and he says let me go, and does that 3 times, then finally, you kill him, and he's done. But the other thing you can do, is let him go, and then he will make an appearance in a later fight. And that appearance in that later fight is actually valuable because the little bit of extra experience you get from him helps in routing. And he's so weak at that point in time that he's not a challenge to get to. Now here we just found the Trident. The Trident is an extreme boost in power over the club, and you will be able to see quite how much it is. There's actually multiple other weapons you can get that are between the club and the Trident. And this is the only location of the Trident in the entire game. It is not something you can buy, it is not something you find in another chest. It is the only Trident in the game, and it is of incredible value. And now we're going to leave and continue to move on, but here's Yuan Shao, Yuan Shu's older brother, and Lubu defects to go fight Yuan Shao, and apparently brings a lot of soldiers with him. You are caught off guard. This is one of the few battles in the game that's guaranteed to be caught off guard. Everybody here is going to attack you. They are the strongest generals you come up to this far, at least Wen Hun and Yan Liang are. And they're going to go at that, and then he's going to say, go away, you're no threat to me. And now we got to go back and restore all of our resources again. We don't have Lubu anymore, and so we're going to have to figure out how to make do with that.
Make do without Lubu.
The next thing we're going to do, we're going to come over to this castle. This will be, I believe, depending on what route you're doing, the one level up where you will not learn a tactic until all the tactics have been learned. This is the Fubing level, and Fubing is, it used to be considered to be impossible to get because you had to have an intelligent enough strategist to learn it, and nobody you can get up to this point is intelligent enough unless you grind it to this level with Liu Bei before at the very, very end. But once the Extermination glitch was found, that reduced the amount. If things went right, that reduced the amount of experience you got enough that you could actually beat this castle without gaining that level just by a margin, and you can get the strategist that can learn it beyond that. But we don't have them yet, so you're going to see nobody learn a tactic. They're going to get the soldier ups, and then it's going to be over. But that also means we don't get tactical points, any more tactical points. You only get tactical points on levels where you learn a tactic.
Yeah, so you see there, I actually use water tactics for that fight, since we're close to a river up here. And they're slightly better than the fire tactics for this fight.
It's good to know. I've never considered the fact that I can use water tactics there. So that's nice. You'll also see, if you paid attention in that all-out, some of those, you would see the bars just drop dramatically. And that is whenever Zheng Fei attacks, because he has the Trident, and again, it does a ton of damage. Now, there is a cave to the west, and if you go there, you find out that stuff is blocked by debris. And if you talk to this guy that in this town, then he will give you gunpowder, and you can use the gunpowder to beat the debris. There is a woman guarding this bridge here, and she's saying, my love, where are you? I don't remember which name she uses for him, if it's Shuja or if it's Danfu, but one of those two. You have to get that character before she's willing to move across, and you can't cross this town until that happens. So the game is funneling you to that cave. You're going to load up on power pills because the most difficult fight yet is coming up very soon, and we need to be able to do extra damage. Power pill is just a guaranteed crit. The damage formula in this game has discrete values, so a critical hit not only does extra damage, but does a known amount of damage that is consistent and reliable, and so you can plan battles accordingly, knowing how much you're going to do with a crit, because the multiplier from your damage is going to be identical every time. We're not going to use our smoke pot here. We're going to take a few random fights, because we need to get a little bit of extra experience so that when we go into the next big fight, we have the second level healing tactic. And we don't get that just by the set battles we fight. And now we're going to pick up a character, Jotsong. He thinks he wants to get in a fight with you, and then he decides to join instead. And so he is, again, highest number of soldiers we've seen yet. And he's got so many soldiers that the next time we see a battle, sometimes takes a battle to set it. I'm not sure what the trigger is when it does and doesn't. But the next time we see a battle, our meters are no longer going to be pink. They're going to be yellow, which means that each little tick of that meter represents a lot more HP. So now we pick up Danfu, also known as Shuja, and we're going to go back here. We're going to change our party around. Now the nice thing is when we lost Lubu, picked up Jotsong, he got all of Lubu's inventory. So we don't have to waste our time equipping him or anything. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make our first trip to billeting, which is how you switch out people in your party. We're doing a safety save beforehand. There is a random crash that can happen in this game, and it seems to happen to me more often before billeting, or when you're doing billeting than anything else. So I prefer to plan around having to do this as much as possible. You just saw that he got rid of Liu Feng and picked up Shuja, and that made sure that Shuja had the inventory that Liu Feng had. Now we're going to walk around with just these 5 characters for now, and move on. They're all particularly strong. We've got them reasonably geared, and now we're at a point where the game actually allows you to go in 2 different directions. And we're going to go in the tougher direction for now, because it's a whole lot easier and a whole lot faster. Trying to get through the battles in Chapter 4 can actually really be challenging early on to go to your level. But here, if we go through the Chapter 5 route, which we're doing here, and we get through the tougher battles, we are going to get gear that's going to allow us to start just dominating everything and going on a spree of destruction, and not have to even, to not even think twice about Chapter 4. I will make a side mention that Liu Feng had, if I recall correctly, had Chituma, which now means that Shuja does, so now we know he already has good agility. We can relatively reliably count on him to go first in any battle, which is very valuable, because that means that when we see the results of our previous round, we can use him to get basically a guaranteed heal off before we do at the beginning of the next turn, to keep someone from dying or anything like that. Our magic number here of experience that we went before this battle is, I believe, 2826. We have forgotten that value now, and so we are now running from everything. We're going to fight one more lesser castle first, and that's going to give us enough experience to give us Tongxian, which is going to be our 2nd level healing spell.
Lots of encounters today. My last run, I did not have any encounters, and I had to grind down by the castle. Yeah, it's tricky. Sometimes you get all the encounters, sometimes you get to this battle, still haven't gotten all the encounters, and then suddenly you run into, a random battle like this one.
This battle is one of the more confounding battles because it is, it's not technically difficult in the sense of it should be all-outable, but it can go wrong real fast. So we're going to take some safeties, get Zhenchuan under 1,000 soldiers, because we're finally seeing enemies that have 1,000 soldiers, and so we're going to get him under that, and now the rest of it should be pretty easy. Gongji can't do a whole lot, but we're going to use these water tactics again in a battle that I have not been using water tactics in, much to my shame. And going to get them under, and then should be able to probably all out next turn, depending upon what the strategy is. And we'll see. You see that Gongji used Shuijian, which is a tactic that reduces water damage. So now you'll see the second time around, these water tactics that we landed are not doing nearly enough damage. But Zhenchuan down, Gongji can't do a whole lot to us anymore, and we're going to clear this out, and then we're going to get in this town, we're going to get a very interesting weapon. It's the bow, and it allows you to attack twice. Attacking twice is nice. Attacking twice can also have its drawbacks, just because an equivalent weapon that attacks once simply goes faster. It's less text, less, animation, etc. But the attacking twice is also it's also very strong, and so it is of a lot of value at this point in time. We're gonna give that to Guan Yu, so now he's got a lot of damage that he can do with the bow. Zheng Fei has a lot of damage he can do with the trident, and we're going to need all the damage that they can use to get through this next battle, which is, by a substantial margin, the most difficult battle in the game to this point. I would say that this is actually the most substantial battle for the next 25 minutes or so. I think Ma Chao is probably the next one. So once we get through this, we're gonna be moving a lot faster and not have to plan through our routes as much.
All right, I think I'm gonna have to go back and in after this one.
Yeah, these enemies with these soldiers over 1,000, even at not the strongest, can still cause a lot of damage. And even though you've got ways to get around, or you can theoretically recover, this is too much. You also see Yanre, which is a tactic that, as you see, it's the first AoE tactic we've seen. It goes through everyone. It's nasty. It does over 100 damage to everyone that it lands on, but also it just takes a long time because you get a text box for every character, and that can be very annoying when you're trying to do a speedrun. So those AoE tactics are my most disliked thing in the speedrun. They take about you lose like 15 seconds because of it.
Yeah, funnily enough, that was the tile I was going to use the smoke pot on.
Yeah, we do tend to store one extra smoke pot here just to make sure our last little section is safe, but the distance from there to the next battle is just enough that one smoke pot won't take you there. So, but this is it. This is the battle that is really, really, really tough. So we have Huangzhang and Wei Yan, who are both have extremely good attack power, and you can just see that Wei Yan did, they're doing 200 damage to each of our guys. Yang Ling was not nearly as strong, but did a crit, and so now all of a sudden our soldiers are looking pretty low. With the power pills, we can take down Wei Yan and Huangzhang. What we did there, we split it up so that we did enough damage to Huangzhang and enough damage to Wei Yan to drop them both below 1,000 strength, which of course, it almost halves their damage. We're going to use the healing tactic on Guan Yu, because that's going to allow him to stay over 100 after he gets hit. Guan Ping's down. Guan Ping's not particularly valuable at this point, so we don't care about that. Now we're going to focus fire on Huangjong and get him down for good. We don't have to worry. Unless he dodges the attack, of course. Not going to worry about him at the moment. We're going to just keep ourselves alive. That he's not horribly awful. So now that he's still under 1,000. But this is kind of things didn't quite go as we wanted them to. We got to improvise here. So we're going to just try to chip him down while using the same strategy that we were going to use to get Huangjong down to get Wei Yan down. And so there he's going to go. We'll take the next turn to get down Huangjong, and then the other two, when it's just them, are pretty harmless.
I like that effect of the bow where the second attack attacks the next character down.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, this game, fortunately, when you aim at somebody, it retargets to the next person down on the list, so that so that you don't have like a ineffective or this missed because I tried to attack someone that's not there. Only exception to that is if you is using tactics. Tactics will stay on the person you focus them on, so it will be failure, and that applies to healing tactics as well. If you put a healing tactic on someone, they die, it will just be failure. It won't go down to the next one.
Alright, well, it's a little scary for a bit there, but we got through it.
You can see with all that damage how that can easily go awry real fast. But we got through it, and now we're going to pick up Wei Yan and Huangjong that we just killed, those two generals that were really causing us problems. They are massive increases in damage. Wei Yan has a lot of soldiers to keep him in the 4-digit range, and is going to be of substantial value to us for a while. Huangjong is one of the what's called tigers. The tigers you've seen when we go up a level that Guan Yu and Zheng Fei have both gotten soldiers, nobody else. So they're getting stronger and stronger as the game's going on, but others are staying at the same soldier number. Huangjong is another one of those whose soldiers go up every level. And so he will continue to have value for a while as well. And now we're going to pick up the sword, which is, again, a massive increase in strength even over the trident. Is going to let us mow through enemies now, even with lots of HP. We're just re-gearing right now, and we're going to go, I assume, purchasing Wood H's here.
That's correct.
So now we have a second item of armor that reduces damage by, I don't remember what it is, but it's like 15%, I think, or something along those lines. And so I think it's 40 out of 256, whatever that amounts to. That's the reduction we get, if I were to call my numbers correctly, and so that's going to decrease the damage we take even more. Wood H's I hold on to in my run until, like, the last chapter of the game, because they're just that good. And so now with this sword that we just put with Wei Yan, you can just mow through stuff. I often like to, for my route, I often like to take some of these fights just to get some extra gold, so I can get smoke pot routes going and whatever like that, but I think we're good here. We're going to find a second sword that we're going to probably give to Zheng Fei, allowing his attack power to go up dramatically as well. I'm going to shift other stuff around, give the trident to Huangjong, and now we're going to go. We came into the town. You'll notice we didn't fight a battle. So we're going to come up here and talk to the guy that's in the castle here, and he's going to say, hey, let me show you to your sleeping quarters. And if you say yes, they will take you to your sleeping quarters, they will beat you up, and then you'll fight this battle. Which, with less soldiers is really annoying. If you decline, they'll just go into this battle, and you can fight it. These guys are not dangerous at all, and you can just see all out. You you can watch meters just disappear with the swords that are coming out. So now you see Huangzhang also gaining levels. I give up, please spare me. Now this is a place that you can inviolably obey. But we're not going to do that quite yet. The annoying thing is, when you first walk into this town, until you go talk to the guy, you can't pass the town. You also can't walk into any of these buildings. And so, once you beat him, you can, but all the NPCs still start in front of the buildings. So you do still have to wait for them to move away from the building before you can go into it, and that can sometimes cost you a few seconds. It can be very, very annoying. We are really going to load up on smoke pots now because we have no need for any more random encounters for quite a while, and so we don't want to see anything that we don't want to see. So this, in the game, this game, just like most of these early games, you can't buy groups of items. You have to buy them all one at a time, and so it can be a slow process whenever you do inventory. That's why I try to, in the route I try to do as little as few shopping trips as possible, because it can take a little bit of time. But now we're gonna move on. We've got all these, smoke pots. We're gonna not have to fight anything, and we're gonna go see what the big group of people that are guarding the Jizhou region are going to how much challenge they're going to show us.
Yep, and thankfully with these swords we can mow them down as well. But yeah, like Theo was mentioning earlier, like inventory management is definitely one of the more difficult things of this game. It's so easy to lose track of inventory, and when like a fight goes wrong or some little thing changes, and suddenly your inventory is not what you expect it to be. Thankfully, the menus like move really quickly, so you can move stuff around and change it up if you have to.
And so now we have rescued the Jingzhou region. We've said that's chapter 5, but you can't move on until you've cleared both chapters 5 and 4. But before we move on anywhere else, we are going to go find yet one more weapon, one more sword, to increase our damage even more. There is a guy here who, if you talk to him, he will allow a general named Pang Tong to be found in this zone. He has 3,000 hit points, is the smartest general you've come up to this point, can do all sorts of stuff. When you fight him, has a really, really brutal tactic that can wipe your party almost instantly. But he's extremely valuable if you want to get him. Unfortunately, doing that does take the time and effort and risk of pulling him off, and so he tends to be skipped, although there is a route that does get him. Another reason to go the chapter 5 first is that you have this guy who sells you a key that costs 4,000 gold. It is very hard to afford that key when you first get to this place. But by doing the entire west side first, you get enough money to purchase that key, and then you can go on and then you can move on without worrying about money. So now that you've seen her, she goes across, you talk to her, it allows you to go through immediately after talking to her. You don't actually have to cross the bridge. And so now we're going to use smoke pots, and we're going to fight what is an extremely tough battle if you go chapter 4 first. Yanliang and Wenhun are the two strongest generals up to this point in the game, up through chapter 4, and can, you really, I'm as casually playing, you're going to try to get them on your team later. We haven't seen it, but there is a mechanic in the game for generals that you've already beaten at a set location, most of them. If you run into them in the wild and defeat them, there is a chance you will capture them, and then you can try to convince them to join your party. Sometimes they'll say no, sometimes they'll say give me a horse, sometimes they'll say give me money, and sometimes they'll just say, okay. But we needed the key to open this up to get a letter from Zhao Yun's, I believe, sister, and we're going to go deliver it to him at Guangzhou Castle. And so we had to have the key, because otherwise we can't go to the next castle, because it's blocked by Zhao Yun. Here you see Zhao Yun. He is another tiger. He is third strongest strength level in the game. He is very intelligent, and yeah, he becomes a very, very important character as the game goes on. So getting him is very, very helpful. He is, like I said, he's another tiger, so you'll watch his HP go up. We just now learned the Yinxian tactic. That tactic is really cool. It's the first AoE healing tactic we have, and it does over 1,000. It refills over 1,000 soldiers per character. So it's basically at this point in the game a complete, heal us all. There is a hidden saber in this town, but the saber is not nearly as good as the swords we got on the other side, so we are going to skip them. And we are going to move on to the next section, which are these gates, which are also completely worthless. Just gotta go through. If you get the right thing, you can one-shot these guys. You can just see they just go down. You don't hardly get any hits off, so these are afterthoughts. Give you a chance to breathe for a minute.
Take a drink of water. Yeah, this game moves very quickly, as you can see, and navigating all the menus and hitting everything, and the fights. It's a bit of a challenge for sure. It's nice to have a break once in a while.
And now we're fighting Yun Xiao. He's got Zheng He, which also has over 200 strength, which is, again, very, very strong at this level, at this point in the game. Lubu with even more soldiers, over 1,000 soldiers, which means he can do a lot of damage. 400 some odd right there with substantial defense on Wei Yan. And you also see that we have Yun Shu under Yun Xiao here. Completely harmless, but again, will give you a little extra experience, which is nice just in tactics routing. So we're unfortunately in this turn, we're getting this. We take one turn out to specifically kill Lubu, because he can wreck you. Once that happens, the battle's pretty much over. So I imagine we'll just all out here, clear it, and that's the end of chapters 4 and 5, and we are about to start chapter 6. Which is started by what basically amounts to a gigantic fetch quest. And the reason, the tactic we wanted to have, the reason we wanted to do that is because we wanted to get that tactic we just got, Jiro. Jiro halves the damage you take from all sources, which is incredibly valuable because the next place we go, while we may be strong, they are incredibly strong too, and they can demolish your team very quickly if you don't have some defense against it. So that Jiro is what you want to learn at this when you finish this castle, and Yun Shu helps make sure you get the experience to do that, which is why we like to let him die rather than live. Or why we like to have him live rather than die, I mean. And this is also where you, to me, where in my run is the first massive shopping trip. You need to load up your whole party as much as you can because you are going to be going on some very extensive adventures. You need to plan it out. You need to have enough gull wings because you're going to be flying all over the place. I don't know how much we talked about gull wings yet, but there are certain towns, if like Dragon Quest, it's a return spell. There are certain towns in the game you can return to, and the gull wing will allow you to do that. Very, very convenient. So we're going to stock up on a bunch of those because, as I said, we're basically doing a fetch quest, and we're going to need a lot of it. So basically, everybody's going to be loaded up with resurrects, power pills, smoke pots, and gold wings. So you're going to have the entire party full of them. Enough gold wings to do all the things you need to do. A few power pills for one particular battle that's coming up, and yeah. So this is an interesting thing that we can do here. So when you get to a point in the stage, you can invite Liu to a castle, but based upon the part of the point in the chapter he's on, he might not be willing to go there. So we told him we wanted to invite him there to Jizhou, and he said Liu Bei is going to Guiyang. Well, as I mentioned earlier, when you save and reset your game, you'll end up where he is. That actually invited him to Guiyang, so you immediately went where you were supposed to go. So it's a faster and cheaper than using a gold wing to come here, invite him here, and then go up. Now, what happened when we did that? We talked to him, and he got a letter from that said Shujo's mom was ill, so Shujo left. At this point, you'll notice we have a music change. So this is the second half of the game. The music has changed as we go on to the tougher stuff. And so now our goal is to get the strategist Zhuge Liang. And we're going to go here, we're going to talk to his brother, and he's going to say he's not home. He may be in the house of Sui Zhouping, and so we're going to go to the house of Sui Zhouping. Are we picking up Ma Liang in this route?
Not till later, no.
Okay. They all say Sui Zhouping is never home and he's not there, but only at this point the story triggered you to do that. So you saw him, he said he's not here, he went back, so now we're going to go back to Zhuge Liang's house to try to see him this time.
And he's not here.
If he comes back, I'm going to call you at Nunyan Castle. So we're going to go there, and we're going to have to invite Liu Bei and do that whole thing. And we do this whole thing again and see if we find him another time.
So the other thing we're going to do here is save and do a building trip to swap out somebody.
We picked up Zhao Yun here, as I mentioned earlier, very, very valuable. There is a Tactician Ma Liang that you can pick up. He has one particular value for this part of the game. He's very valuable later in the game. He has one particular value for this part of the game, which is to get you some extra tactical points, but managing him can also be a bit of a nuisance because you don't want him fighting, but he's also a strategist, so you can't leave him in that 7th slot. And getting him killed off can be challenging. So some routes opt to go ahead and pick him up, some routes opt to save him till later, and so that's why I was asking about that. But now we're going to go back, and hey look, he's here. Is he sleeping? Do you wake him up? If you have to just sit here and do nothing. Or say no, and just do nothing. If you press a button, he yells at you, "Is my house on fire?" No, get out of here. But you just sit there, and he finally joins. And now he says he's going to Guiyang Castle to renew acquaintances, so now we go to our last the Goldwing adventure to go see him. Now, Zhuge Liang is the smartest character in the game. He has maximum intelligence. He is smart enough that there is one tactic that only he can learn. But unfortunately, he is too smart in a particular case. So, what tactics you can learn is based on your intelligence. The game has 6 slots for tactics, and which tactic you learn is based upon which spell in that is the highest intelligence tactic that matches your strategist's intelligence. Well, it turns out that at 40 intelligence, I believe it is, you learn a really good tactic, but you wish you had another one. So you're going to have to use another strategist for the other tactic we're going to make great use of. But until then, Zhuge very, very valuable. Very, lots of good tactics, gives you max tactical points. He's also a tiger, so his HP will grow. He will be in our active party quite a bit during this game, even though he is the tactician. Now again, we're loading up some more stuff now that we've emptied up all that space to get with all those gold wings that we had been using. So now we're about to enter the land of Shu. You're going to see, again, a massive spike in enemy stats, both in terms of their raw stats and in terms of their soldiers. They're going to be smarter, so they're going to have better tactics. They're going to... yeah, they're going to be a lot... And we will see a cameo appearance by a particular general, which is very, very scary the first time you ever see him. But we'll get to that later. But Shu is a very, very, very long travel. And so if you fail on your trip, it is very, very costly. So you want to be as prepared and as safe as you can possibly be. You know, he's double-checking his inventory to make sure he's got everything he wants.
I somehow swapped these guys, so let's see. We gotta fix this. Should be okay.
And yes, as chat mentions, the music in this game is fantastic too. So there is some time where you sit here and look at your inventory to make sure everybody's got what you want them to have. It can be obnoxious and slow sometimes, and you don't like doing it, but at the same time, the cost of a single mistake can be catastrophic. So now here we go. We're moving on, using all these smoke pots that Guanping has, and we're going to be making our trip into Shu.
So the world map design of this game is quite interesting in that when you go through these areas, some of these areas, there are a lot of like zigzags just to make you go around, and a whole lot of kind of like nothing on the way.
Now there's an interesting glitch in the Japanese version of this, where in a section of here there is a block of land that's not assigned a zone, and so you can end up fighting these enemies that have tens of thousands of hit points, but aren't that strong because they're just your generic enemies, the brigand forces. And when you kill them, you get so much experience, you get massive amounts of levels. So the Japanese route does grind here on those because it's so good. But that's been patched in the NES version, so we don't have to, or we don't have that opportunity available to us. But as you can see, the rebel forces almost have 1,000 stuff. Zhang Ren is very, very good general, so we're going to focus on him. He's both smart and powerful. And we are going to have Jiro being used. Huangjong has Chituma, I assume?
Yes.
Yeah, so we gave Chituma to Huangjong to up his agility so that he would be the one most likely to go first, and which allows us to get the damage having attack in before they go on, because otherwise they can, do 600 damage on you.
Please attack him once. Or not? Okay. So you want one, get Zhongren down below 1,000, so we're not taking all this damage, but it'll be okay.
And this is where you're grateful for that Yin-Xian tactic I mentioned earlier, because now you can fully heal yourself to max at the next battle with just 10 tactical points rather than having to have everybody use that. I will note we passed through a little bit of a building before we got to this castle, this little like fort or hut type thing. You cannot go through that until you have acquired Zhuge Liang, which is why we have to go do that before we move on. Of course, you want to have him, but even if you didn't want to have him, the game's going to make you have him. You don't have to have him in your party quite yet, but you do have to at least have acquired him. There is a later point in the game where he will require you to have him in a party to prevent a potential soft blood. You're going to see Huangzhang use Jiro, you're going to see Wei Yan use Yin-Xian, and then once that happens, we can just go ham on these guys because they're not that strong. The experience you get in this game is based upon the HP of the enemies you kill, which means obviously for generals that's going to be static and you're going to know what that is, but the rebel forces that show up in all these battles actually makes the experience gain you get a little variable, and so that's why that having those 20,000 HP monsters in the Japanese version gives you so much experience, but that also means that sometimes you get levels here versus there, and that can also make routing interesting. Now, Zhuge Liang just learned the Beiji tactic. That is the last tactic he will learn in that slot, and that is why that is the one that's only learned by characters with intelligence at 240 or more, and it doubles your attack. So it's very, very valuable later. You will see that we have reordered the party. The reason we have reordered the party here to put Jia Yun in front is because Fa Zheng here has a really, really annoying tactic, and it's called Jitsa. And what it does is it nullifies all beneficial tactics on you. Well, as you see, we're using Beiji on our characters, which doubles their attack power. We're also using Jiro, which halves the damage we take. If he lands that Jitsa, we lose all of that, and all of a sudden everybody's doing a lot of damage, we're not doing as much damage, and we've lost a ton of tactical points. However, the success of a party tactic like that is based on a comparison of the caster's intelligence and the intelligence of the first person in your party. In this particular, and Zhao Yun is very intelligent, so we put him at the top of the party to decrease the odds that Jitsa is going to land. We didn't see it this time. So we focus fire on Fa Zheng to get rid of him, and then once that happens, the rest of the battle goes pretty smoothly, as long as we still have all of our stats. That one is secretly nasty. It says it's not quite as substantial as the others. It can go really easily, but one Jitsa can totally wreck you. And now we have to go save our cousin, Liu Zheng, out here. He is trapped behind a wall that can be really annoying casually, because you have to tap against it by tap, unpress, press, unpress, press, unpress, press, unpress. If you just sit there and hold against it, it will never break. And I remember holding against it for an hour as a kid, being like, why isn't this breaking? You can never quite figure it out. Now, after we finally went through that whole path and got here to Shu, this castle, which we're going to save at, just to make sure we've already got all this stuff taken care of, this castle does not is not one you can gullwing to. So we are going to have to continue on before we can have a place that can give us the safety if something goes wrong. So Smokebox, if you were to fight a battle right here, you'd suddenly find yourself fighting Chapter 4 enemies again for some reason. This little area is zoned differently. I don't know why, but it is. But since we're using Smokebox, we're never going to see that. This is a very, very harmless battle. You just have to take the turn to use the Giro, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, you can all out this one, but you do take quite a bit of damage, and sometimes it can leave you kind of in a bad spot for the next battle. And I'd rather take the first turn of the next battle to cast Beiji instead of heal on everybody.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's runner preference type of thing.
Since I tended to pick up Maoliang earlier, I let him be a meat shield for me here. If he hasn't died yet, I like that to be what he does, so I'll all out before using Giro. But yeah, it's a safe battle, but it does require you to, depending on what happens, it may require you to try to heal up a little bit beforehand. You're seeing we're now jumping over 1,000 soldiers a little bit for most of our army, so that's going to make us a whole lot stronger. And now we're fighting, again, the toughest battle for a little while. This is Ma Chao, Ma Dai, and Peng Da. Peng Da is the first person that if you didn't fight Peng Tong, he is the first general who has the Jimian tactic.
Ouch.
Jimian is oh, that's unfortunate. Jimian is a tactic that means you can't do physical attacks until it wears off. It's just a complete, you can't use them anymore. And you don't want to be seeing that, because it is because you can't do any damage. So what we try to do is we try to get him down very quickly. He also has other tactics that are really annoying, like Yishen and Li Jian. Yishen is basically like a stun. Your character can't do anything until he shakes it. Li Jian is like a confuse, so your character will actually attack one of your other characters until it wears off. All of those, the G-Man, Yishen, Li Jian, all have a 3 out of 8 chance of getting of disappearing each time, and so it can cause a lot of problems. Some of these status tactics can really cause people problems at this when we get here. So he also has that Dara, which is the 4th level fire tactic, which can do over 1,000 damage on the use. So just a whole lot of things at his disposal to completely cause nightmares. And that doesn't even take into account that Ma Chao and Ma Dai both also have incredibly high soldiers and strength. And so this battle is one that absolutely kills runs.
Yeah, I've actually had
Fortunately, we didn't see a
bad
G-Man,
luck.
so
Yeah.
it didn't hurt us too bad.
Usually I've had pretty bad luck in this fight recently, where I've had Jimmy on and it stays up forever and you basically die from it. But it wasn't a problem today, thankfully.
And now, Ma Chao and Ma Dai offer to join your party. So now you have 2 more characters. Ma Chao is a tiger, so he will go up. So his soldiers will go up as we level up. Ma Dai is not, but Ma Dai has a lot of soldiers to start off with, so he's going to be sitting in our party for a long time, just to be someone with a lot of HP, who also still has a lot of attack power. We've got a battle axe now. We're giving that to Huang Zhang. We're actually going to lose Huang Zhang here. We're going to replace him with Ma Dai, and so because of that, we want to give the battle axe to him, because Ma Dai is going to be the person we want the battle axe, since he has all the soldiers. And we're going with the route where we don't pick up Ma Chao right now. The reason we wouldn't want to do that is because the soldiers he's going to have are not the soldiers that he has on your party. The soldiers he has on your party is based on your level up. So he will have a lot fewer soldiers and will be a little more trouble to deal with. And look who's back.
It's the man himself.
Lubu with 7,003 soldiers. Lots of damage. A sudden random encounter that will totally terrify you when you're playing this casually. But his life comes to an end. It was an SA betrayal. It's over. We will see no more of Lubu the rest of the game. We only had to kill him 4 times.
I like how he's self-aware. So I like to take one extra Rebel Force fight here, just so I don't have to worry about getting that Wanfu level.
Yeah, so there's gonna be some level routing that we're worrying about very shortly. And we want to make sure when we ideally want, when we finish a particular battle, to level up to get the Wanfu tactic, and we'll discuss the strategy behind that when we get to that point. But for now, we're traveling through this cave, and we have to get this thing called the Iron Ore. And so we'll have to do that. We're going to give it to a blacksmith. He's going to make a bunch of swords, one of which will turn out to be particularly valuable to us. But it is a story trigger you have to do, and so we do that. We're gonna go back to the end, recover from our exchange with Lubu, and then we're gonna go through a fairly easy stretch of fights. Fortunately, this cave's pretty short. If you don't have to go through the detour for the iron ore, easy to just get back out here and move on. With all the soldiers we have, we're finally getting to a place where we don't have to really even worry about, using Jiro. We can, but in this fight, you often just safe just all outing because these guys are not particularly valuable. Yoon, very valuable as general, but early on in the game tends to lag in soldiers, which can be very, very annoying. We don't have it in this little fortress, so we can't. So we're gonna have to heal him up later. But we have another battle axe. Again, battle axe is a substantial improvement over the sword. We're going to ultimately want everybody to have battle axe or better at some point, but we'll just keep upgrading the weapons here. This one, another easy battle, but you do want a Jiro, and you also want to use it as your opportunity to heal yourself up for the next battle.
Do some of this.
You'll see attacking the rebel forces at the bottom here. The reason you want to do that is because if you can kill them before they attack, it's just faster. You've got one less person that can attack, and the rebel forces will go after all these generals and can be killed. And so if you can get the kill off on them before they get a chance to attack, that's one less turn that's going to happen. Unfortunately, we did not get that fortune in this one because Zheng Fei waited, and Guan Yu waited to attack until after that rebel force went in. But it is a way to speed things up a little bit. And now we just learned Hong Shui. We're going to make good use of that shortly, but we're going to fight the battle that seems the most imposing, that is, like, an absolute joke. This is almost the end of Chapter 6. This is kind of a major story point right here, and this is supposed to be the big battle for this story point, and it's an absolute joke of the fight.
Yeah, the ones leading up to this were way, way more difficult, the 2 castle fights.
Nobody here has any strength. Nobody here has any intelligence. You put Jiro up there, you get your health up, and then they just go. No danger whatsoever. course, we mentioned, or you can see once we brought Madayan, our meters are now yellow. So it looks like we don't have as much health as we actually do because the meters are now short again. We're going to go to the end here. I'm not sure what order we're going to be doing all of the events, but there is a lot of items to do here. Okay, we're going to drop all of our defensive gear because we're about to replace it. We're finally going to upgrade the leathers here and the paddeds. Like I said, I mentioned how the leather can get you through a lot of game. Well, you see we're an hour and a half in and still carrying that leather. We're going to sell a bunch of extra stuff to get some money. All of the weapons that are not battle axes, I believe we will sell, depending upon what our money route is here. And then we will load up on some other various and sundries, because things are about to change for us. For this, we're getting money because there's some really nice things that we have at the weapon shop. We can buy battle axes. We can also buy the ring mail, which that is a substantial increase in defensive power, and it will be the second to last piece of armor that we get. At this point, we will only be buying one more helmet and one more armor, I believe. And again, have to load up on all the smoke pots, have to load up on all the gull wings, because we're about to do another fun adventure. What's going to happen next? Going to go a little fast. So, what's going to happen next is you're going to go talk to Lubu, and he is going to tell you that he heard this blacksmith talking about some swords or something like that. So you have to take that iron ore to the blacksmith. You don't have to talk to him. Lubu costs us though. This trigger's already open. So we are going to go backwards and go take the ore to the blacksmith so that he has them. If you talk to, if you don't have Zhuge Liang in your party and you talk to Lubu, he's going to tell you put Zhuge Liang in your party before, at the next story trigger. He won't let it advance until you have him in your active party. And he is one of the few generals who the game will not let you take out of your party at billeting. So he says it'll take a long time for me to do these swords, come back a long time away. So we walk out, come back in, and just like that, he made 5 beautiful swords.
And they were stolen.
A band of yellow scarves came and stole them. Not sure how they snuck in, in front of us, but there they are. And now we're gonna get that chain M for everybody. As I was mentioning, get some battle axes, and then we'll find yet another hidden weapon in this town that's yet another upgrade on the battle axe. First, let's invite Lubu here.
Yep, do a little safety save just in case.
Going to do the important scimitar search, which I always forget to do.
Yeah, it's easy to forget.
You've already done weapons, you've already done all the other stuff, you've done that part of the inventory, and so all of a sudden it's there. So what happens here is he says, okay, we've got Sun Tzu running Wu, we've got Cao Cao running away, and we have us ruling Shu. It's everything stable, and they're everybody's stable in China now, with these 3 regions kind of in balance. And then suddenly, Cao Cao died. Sun Ce was assassinated, and now there's unrest. And then somebody else comes in and says people are attacking Guan Yu and Zheng Fei are barely holding their own. I kind of skipped over it, but we've now lost Guan Yu and Zheng Fei as they have been charged to protect Jingzhou, which is Changsha and Guiyang, I believe. So now we're going to go help them out. So first we're going to go see Guan Yu, except we're not actually going to talk to him. What's going to happen is his son is going to join our party instead. His son is weaker, but substantially faster. Weaker, less intelligent, but substantially faster. And it's just a little weaker, a little less intelligent. And then we'll go down just slightly, and we will go see Zheng Fei, and we will be picking up his son, Zheng Bao, who is, again, a little bit weaker, but substantially smarter and also faster. And now, it's important to remember when you do this, because it's easy to forget. For whatever reason, when you're doing billeting, you drop a character, you replace them, they have all their gear already equipped. But when you pick up these, when you pick up the characters, the kids, from their parents, they have all the items, but they don't have them equipped. They somehow get unequipped in the process, and so it's easy to be like, okay, I got them, and then you go to the next battle, and all of a sudden, oh no, I'm taking a lot of damage and not doing a whole lot of damage, and you get nervous. But basically, what's happened is now we're being Wu is now attacking this area of Jingzhou, and we have to help Zheng Fei and Guan Yu defend it. It's the only time, or one of the only times, you're going to see castles we've already defeated become second battles.
Yep, always equip. That's why I leave all my equipping till right there, because it's just like I remember to do it all at once I get everybody back. So it's kind of how I remember it.
Over here where we finished off Jingzhou, we're going to come here and all of a sudden we're going to be fighting, if you've heard this before, a massively upgraded group of enemies who are quite strong, but you can usually take them without a whole lot of fuss. I tend to like Tajiro here, but it's not a necessity. You may end up having some deaths that you have to recover from like that, but it's usually pretty safe.
Yep, not a big deal. We can pick up more resurrects later.
So that dude trash talks us. We're going to get the level, and we're going to learn... forget what we learned before Wanfu.
Dot Ray.
Oh,
Dot
right,
Ray.
right.
Yeah. Who had that? You.
Alright, we're going to return back to Changsha, go fill ourselves up, and we're going to go the other direction now, and go fight the other castle from the other side that's being assaulted by Wu. I assume we're also picking up Maliang now?
That's correct.
Alright, so here's a strategist that you can pick up as soon as you've lost Shuja. Well, I guess we won't quite get there until after the battle, but he will serve a very important purpose for us, because he will be able to hold on to the tactic that Zhuge Liang is too intelligent to have. So here we're gonna
too smart for his own good.
Our team a little more.
He's too smart for our good.
We have this Beiji, which is Zhuge Liang's tactic here, and it's also very, very, very valuable, and will be a massive tactic of choice for the most substantial battles. But another tactic will prove to be our ideal our ideal method of getting through the late game. Most of the late game.
All right, there is our Wanfu level.
Alright, now we wanted to make sure we learned Wanfu here. So, there is a guy in the Jizhou castle who, when you talk to him, he will take you to the next level, which is lovely. The levels follow a roughly calculated algorithm that's pretty, so the gap between each level is more than the gap before it. But that gap isn't calculated. That gap was, each of those level values was hard-coded into the ROM. When those were hard-coded, there were a few typos. And one of those typos resulted in the level between the Wanfu level and the G-Man level, which is at level 24, is massive, and the subsequent levels are and the next level is very, very small. So what we are doing is to get the maximum amount of experience we can get from this guy who's going to level us up. We go right after we get the Wanfu level, we go talk to him, and he's going to give us the massive amount of experience to get GMN, and then from there we can get the next levels pretty quickly. And the reason we care about that is because we want to hit level 27 before we get to a particular battle, which is going to give us the tactic we're looking for. Which is also why you'll see a few extra encounters being taken, because you still need a little extra beyond what just the set battles will give you to get to the level you're looking for beforehand. So you'll see a few extra random encounters being done to get that extra little experience.
Check you. Okay.
So now we're going to be loading up for our adventures into Wu. Once we beat this section, we're going to go back, talk to Liu Bei in a second here, and that's going to open up a bridge south of Guiyang, which is where we got Zhang Bao a few minutes ago, which is where Zheng Fei is serving as leader of, and that's going to let us enter Wu, where we have, harder monsters. We no longer have the pirate forces, brigand forces, bandit forces that we saw earlier in the game. It's all rebel forces as the enemies. Not a particularly substantial thing, but also all of the rebel forces will now have 4-digit health. The tactics that your enemies are going to have are going to be more substantial. There are going to be some very, very dangerous people out there in the overworld when you're trying to grind, and the battles are going to get a lot more difficult because a lot of those same battles, the characters have better tactics, and that can cause you more stress. Namely, Feng Shui is going to become a problem. That is the AoE water tactic. So they can use it and they can hit everybody and do 1,000 damage to every character in your party. That's a not fun thing to have happen to you. And it has ended many a run.
Forgot a few smoke bots there, but thankfully we can buy them here.
Now we're going to switch out our party again, bring in, we're going to get rid of Wanping and Wei Yan, I think, or are we not yet?
Yep.
Going to get rid of Wanping and Wei Yan. We're going to go, do we not pick up Maliang yet?
No.
Okay.
I'll pick him up after Xiao Yu.
Okay, gotcha. Alright, so now you come here, and Liu Bei is all upset that, oh, with that happens, the entire dynasty is collapsed, everything's awful, terrible, and they tell him to declare himself emperor. And so, because we need to defeat Sun Quan and Cao Pi, who are the brother and son of the people who died, respectively, of the ones that were keeping things stable. So now Liu Bei has decided he is the emperor, has declared that against that, and then we must conquer Wu. You know, so you have a 5-person party, and one of the reasons we have that 5-person party is because we want Zhuge Liang in the battles right now. We need his intelligence, because we need him to be able to do some very important things. And to be able to survive some very important things. And here is one of the first battles that can cause a lot of problems again. Lu Su, again, can do Jinian and nullify everything in the world, and also use heavy tactics that can cause all sorts of problems. We have G-Man now, which can really nullify Gan Ning, because he hits pretty hard. As you see, Lu Su just used G-Man, so our G-Man wear off, his did not, so we cannot do anything. What we're going to use our fire tactics here to try to get down Gan Ning, so that at least the physical damage that's going towards us is not going to cause us massive problems. Beiji does apply to tactics as well, and so because we have Beiji on our characters, we are able, that it does a lot more damage, and we can get this guy down. Sometimes you can be lucky and get him down in 3 of these fire tactics, but turns out we're going to use 4. And now, even though you don't have it, we're going to all out here, because eventually the G-Man's going to wear off like that, and since nobody can do a whole lot of physical damage to us, it's pretty safe to go and do this all-out fight once you've got Gan Ning, who can do a lot of damage, out of the way. You can just kind of wait out the G-Man. So now we've gotten through that, but as you see, there is a lake, or a river in front of us, and we need to find a way to pass it. There's a guy who will tell us how to do it, but we don't care about him right now. What we're going to do is we're going to search this tree far and wide, and we are going to find dead wood. Then look to the other side, and we're going to find a scimitar. And we're going to give that scimitar to Jiang Yu. And now we're going to go off into this cave that's over here on the side, and we're going to go find some other item. This is a great place this is where you're going to try to grind the extra experience you want to get you to the range you want for reaching level 27 at the right time.
Ooh boy.
And those are the kind of things you can run into here. They are not fun. All of these guys, actually, 2 of those are pretty dangerous. The other 2 are pretty minor, but and this one is what I call the validation encounter. This one, I don't know how the RNG is pretty complex in this game, but for some reason this one seems to happen every run. This is the validation encounter, as I call it.
You do see it a lot. Hopefully they don't destroy us.
Yeah, and with the Taishi is, as you see, the first person we've seen that has 5-digit soldiers. He's very strong, has a very good weapon, and can also be a major, major problem. So you do not like to see him at all, but there we are. Shisheng here is a pretty useless general, not very good, not very strong, whatever, but even with that, those 5-digit soldiers and the weapons that they have at this level Because the enemies do have weapons, just like we do, that are just kind of hidden. You don't know what they have. And so their attack or their offensive prowess is also affected by that. And so even though this is a general in terms of stats that isn't particularly valuable, he can still pack a punch if you're seeing. And we are having a very unfortunate time trying to get away. It's a 1 out of 4, or you have a 3 out of 4 chance of running from these guys. We are not seeing that on. I think it's 20 out of 4. Maybe it's only 1/2. Maybe 3 or 4 was the Rebel forces. I'm sure ACMLM and chat can correct me here. And now those resurrections were giving us full heals before barely touch it now. And, here we go. Juisung is a very easy guy to kill.
Okay. I didn't know if I should risk it with this low soldiers. We'll try it. Okay, yeah, he doesn't seem too bad. He might get mod die here.
Juisung is the single easiest general in this zone to take. The next one would be Bushi. But those two, when you see them, you're very happy because you get experience and have no risk. Now we just picked up Saltpeter. And after a quick trip to the inn to recover all of the massive damage that has been done to us, we talk to this guy who asks us if we want to know how to blow up the canal. We say no, and he's like, oh, okay. And then we just give him the stuff, and he blows it up. If you say yes, he'll explain what to do. It's just a little faster to say no, because both ways the trigger is hit, and you can throw out, or you can get the process started. So he blew a dam open into that lake, and we can go across. And now we have the single most destructive battle in the game. More wipes to this battle than any other battle. You can die to it before you even get a turn if things go wrong. It can be nasty. So here we go. Zhou Yu is going to be the key factor here. And here we're going to use Hong Shui because we're going to try to get everybody. And Zhou Yu just tried to use On Sha, and it was a failure. On Sha is the secret tactic we've been referencing. It is an instant kill. If it lands, you're gone. They take your head. And so it's very bad. And Zhou Yu is very smart and can do that. However, you can only learn that between, I think, 220 and 239
nice
intelligence, and Zhuge Liang is at 55. Fortunately, because he's so smart, he's often able to land it on very intelligent generals, so we're able to get Zhou Yu down. Once Zhou Yu's down, everybody else is a cinch. But Zhou Yu Zhou Yu can throw Hong Shui out and just decimate your party, because he can land on everybody with pretty high frequency. Not getting that, not having the Hong Shui thrown at us, but having a failed on shot instead was actually really, really nice. So that battle did not do justice to how vicious that battle can be. It will ruin so many runs.
Yeah, that's about as easy as that battle gets, for sure.
Now we're just gonna do some more menuing to get everything we want to get for the long journey we're about to go on. we are going to have to travel through a very long cave, and then fight a really nasty battle on the other side of it, which means that a loss is a massive time sink. And while we're here, after doing all this, we're also going to pick up Maliang, unless we already did that and I was just not paying attention.
Nope, safety save and then pick him up.
Okay. Oh, that makes sense, because you want to do that before billeting.
Yep. So we loaded
So
up
Maliang
with oops. We loaded him up with... Don't check his stats. Smoke bots. There you are.
Yeah, we actually loaded him up with smoke pots while we were shopping at Lua, right?
Yes. No, it was after that, but yes.
Okay. So, anyway, we've got him on our team. The reason we have him on our team is because he is capable of learning Ansha. And so, when we get to that point, we will have him be our tactician, where we can use it, and we'll use Zhuge Liang, who has max intelligence, and therefore, typically, the highest chance to land Ansha on anybody, we'll have him be able to make good use of that tactic. But first, one more battle where you could get really good value out of Hong Shui, and one more battle that can cause a lot of problems. The first time we ever saw a sub 3 in this game, it included a death to this particular battle that's coming up.
Uh-oh.
Oh, see, that went very, very poorly. Because Zhang Chen and Han Dang can do damage with physical attacks. They can't do anything of real note otherwise. But, as you just saw, I think it was Zhang Chen who just used Shui Jian, which means that our water tactics are half as effective. And Zhuge Jian is now throwing out all sorts of nasty stuff onto our guys. Threw out a Yi Shen, now it's throwing out a Li Jian, and cause problems. Fortunately, with G-Man active, we at least don't have to worry about the other two. We only have to worry about Zhuge Jian. But he's very good at landing those tactics. All right, we're avoiding all of the bad stuff now, and what we haven't seen yet. But the other thing that I didn't mention about the last battle with Zhou Yu also has Wan Fu. Wan Fu is a heal-all. It is a full restore, and that right there is why this particular battle can wreck you. Because
still has
if you got G-Man out there, he can still do problems.
I thought it would have expired.
You don't have tactical points to recover with, and he's just... Okay, right, we're off. See if we can get through it. Unfortunately, all of our guys except for Zhao Yun are under 1,000, so they're not going to be able to do as much damage. But another hit by Zhao Yun will get him down.
Don't heal.
Fortunately, he only has the old heal that we had. That's not going to get. We should be able to all out now and get him down. There we go. So, surviving by the skin of our teeth, but we've got him down. Get one more level. We just learned the Guihuan tactic. That one will serve one purpose in the run much later in the game. It allows you to instantly escape from a battle if it lands. So you will immediately escape and end back up wherever Liu Bei is.
Yep, and that's why we get all those power pills, just in case that fight goes very poorly.
And those surprise attacks can really mess stuff up. We do find a Splint M, which it's very rare to find armor. It's almost always weapons, but we do find a Splint M here, which is a substantial upgrade to the other stuff. We found a crossbow here, but the crossbow is actually not that great. It's just like the bow is, where it attacks twice, but it's weaker than its counterparts that we have right now. And therefore, while on the aggregate it does more damage, it doesn't do enough to justify all the whatever. So instead we're using it as but we hold on to it because it sells for a lot of money. And we want all that money to buy all the best gear at the end. Yanshun here is one of the few generals out there that does not appear in any set battle. He's only a random encounter.
Not this guy again.
Now, if you can get Zhou Yu on your side, that's also amazing. He's a great tactician, the smartest tactician you can get that can still do on Sha, and has a whole lot of hit points, so you can put him in there. He's also smart enough to be good at landing on Sha, so it's just very, very valuable. But of course, you don't want to risk fighting him to try to get it. The Kaz does have Zhou Yu on its party, though.
I forgot to switch him out. That's okay.
Here we finally saw we captured a general. We're gonna make Ma Liang our tactician, so we have Zhuge Liang in here. Get Yanshun as one that you don't generally fight. I don't remember if he has anything dangerous or not. I know there's somebody else that's in that same class in Wei. Okay, no.
Yeah,
he's not dangerous at all. You can kill him easily for experience if you needed to.
There are so many generals here, I need to put together a list because I cannot remember them all. Alright, that should do us for experience. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have one more easy set battle before we get to our big set battle, and when that happens, or when we finish the prior set battle, that's when we want to get our on-Sha level. These caves are nice and windy, but fortunately there are several parts of them where you literally go 2 steps to go into the next staircase. If you wander off, you'll find all sorts of chests and stuff, but we don't need those chests. They take too long to go after for not enough value. There's one chest in here we used to get, but we don't tend to get it anymore because of reasons I will explain later. It is one of the 5 special swords that blacksmith made, and it's by far the strongest weapon that we've got up to this point. But we're skipping it right now, and again, like I said, we'll see why shortly.
Oops, this is an all-out guy.
Yeah, he can be annoying with because he has Legion, and that can occasionally cause your own party to decimate your party. But as long as nobody there decides to start attacking themselves or attacking you, then he's easy enough. Always nice to have easy generals that have 15,000 hit points because they give you lots of experience.
There's our level. And now for the one of the scarier fights here.
Yeah, this fight is a problem. Gave me nightmares casually. Gives me is definitely could be a run ender now because we have Cao Cao here, and he has 240 intelligence, which means both he's very, very, very smart, and he has Beiji. He has Jimian. He can do all sorts of nasty things like that. Also, Chenpu here has Jiro, and therefore can have the damage that the team is taking. But we're going to use Ansha to try to get rid of him. Now, with somebody as intelligent as Cao Cao, Zhuge Liang has basically a 50-50 shot of killing him with Ansha. So it's basically a bunch of coin flips. If the coin flip lands, great, easy battle. If the coin flip doesn't land, if the coin flip doesn't land and you run a tactical point, well, then you're going to have a long trip back.
Nice.
Had a nice, easy time there. There will be one more battle in the game where that particular luck will matter more than anything else. The G-Man isn't running out. Again, Chenpu also can be annoying to just take out by himself because of this is the aforementioned Jiro. You start doing, you can see it, he's got it on there, only doing 192 damage, so it's just super low odds. But Zhuge Liang's guillotine working great in this battle, and we get through it without a whole lot of fuss. Fortunately, they're nice enough to put an in here, and that's going to allow us to recover while we go on to the next portion of the game to go conquer the Sun family of Wu.
Yeah, I did not want to take a risk of anybody dying there because I am out of resurrects at the moment.
Now we have a gate that's relatively simple, can hurt you pretty bad with... sorry, this is one guy. No, this one's just a all-out freeze-through, don't worry about. The next battle can be a little tricky. It's usually not so bad, but Zhang Heng can really throw a wrench into things sometimes. Now there, Zhuge Liang learned the Zhenxian tactic. That is an AoE tactic that recovers like 4,000 to 5,000 on all of your characters. He is the only tactician in the game that can learn that tactic. So Gigi is very unintelligent, so we're going to let Zhao Yun go at him because he'll still have a pretty good chance of nailing the Ansha. Sun Yu, one of the few that uses Jiatse, but at this point it doesn't really matter. So we're going to try to get him down first, and we're going to try to get Sun Yu down next to just get the hard ones out. And now we're going to keep throwing Anshas at Zhang Heng here. This will be another 50-50, another coin flip to land.
Very nice. So far, so good.
All the Ansha luck right now.
Yeah. So far, so good with the Ansha. I've had it where you fail multiple 50-50s, like 8 or 9 in a row before. Does not feel good.
So we'll go to a quick in here, and then we're going to go fight some pirates. There's a guy who has told us that there are some pirates that are causing them problems, and we are going to do something about those pirates. There are lots of hit points, very little intelligence, so we just try to take off all their heads. Actually pretty efficient at it. G-Man, they can only attack, so now they can't do anything to us. Very fast attacks, and not always successful failure. Sometimes you can do... Oh wow, that's not common. But if the G-Man stays, you can still just all out and just take him down quickly. Or you can take a second turn to do more on Shaws. Both of them are pretty fast. But anyway, this battle is just a really, really simple battle. Gives you a lot of good experience, and gives you a nice little side perk that we will see in a minute. See, we're inching towards the mid-thousands. We just learned Hushen, which is the top fire tactic, the most powerful fire tactic in the game. It's an AoE, does 4,000 to 5,000 damage per hit. Very, very powerful, but we don't tend to use it a whole lot in this, because the battles where we would want to use it, we need those tactical points for other stuff. And so now, what EvilAsh is going to do here is he is going to sell all his weapons, and he is going to fill his entire inventory so that nobody has a free slot left in it. So we're going to get a lot of gold, we're going to get a full inventory, and then we're going to head back. I imagine, are you picking up Ma Chao here as well?
Yes.
Okay. So, like I said earlier, we brought Ma Dai in, but we didn't bring in Ma Chao because Ma Chao wasn't going to have a whole lot of soldiers. Well, now that we're getting further on in the game, Ma Dai's soldier count isn't going up, and he's now at the bottom of our list, and Ma Chao's soldier count is going up. So he's actually going to have more soldiers than Ma Dai does right now, and he will be with us through the end of the game. This is one where having your inventory full is absolutely required. If you screw this up, the run will become very, very challenging. Especially given that you just made plans based upon the glitch we're about to see, and then you're going to be scrambling for offense. So basically what happens is there's a guy in town who tells us about these brigands that are causing them problems. And when you kill them and you go talk to him, he gives you one of the legendary swords, or one of the that the blacksmith made. And but when he tries to give it to you, if you don't have space in your inventory, it does the classic, this thing it always does. Oh, you can't carry anymore. Do you want to drop something? Yes. Well, the way the sequence is set up, if you can't carry anymore, it does not flag that weapon as taken. So, you get one, replace it in the inventory, inventories are still full, and you get another one, and replace it in the inventories. And, it is the second most powerful weapon in the game, and you can get one for all of your characters. And so that is a very convenient way to move on. I was mentioning its chest we skipped earlier along that was in a cave. Well, it was one of those swords. You have to go out of your way to get it. It doesn't offer a lot of value just for the next two battles, and then we're about to get that weapon for everybody. And it is, like I said, the second most powerful weapon in the game. Will give us massive offensive boosts, and is very, very nice. This glitch was found by a Japanese runner, Matthew, who I believe is also the one who found out about the Yellow Scarves Extermination glitch early, so I want to give a shout out to him for that. But yeah, this gearing is just one of the things that I have to practice most when I do this right at this point is I know the strategies, I know the battles, I know the whatever, but man, menuing to make everything perfect is just really, really rough. We're going to do a safety save here because if somehow something goes awry, we don't want to have the entire game lost at this, or the entire game thrown into a disarray. So the reason he picked up Liu Feng there is because he's trying to manage inventory, and he wants to make sure that when he dropped Ma Dai and picked up Ma Chao, that they would have the same inventory. So he filled it up. He brought in Liu Feng just to make sure that the only possible character inventory that could be used is would have been Ma Chao's. Then we got rid of Liu Feng again. It's very important when you come back, easy to forget, very important you need to buy an item here because you used a gold wing to get back, and therefore your item was empty by one. But now you're going to see the Qinglong glitch, and we're going to get that for every one of our party.
This guy has a endless supply of swords.
Get our fifth one, and our party is a wrecking machine now. That extra damage will prove to be quite valuable. Now we've already gotten rid of Sun Yu. Now we're going to start heading towards Xenia Castle to take on Sun Quan. But we've got to get through the rest of the Sun family first. So we start with Sun Yi. This is a battle that would be nice to just all out, but Sun Yi hits so hard that it's usually that you go ahead and like to use it on him. Resource management is very, very important right here. I don't know are you going to go refill before the last battle?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. If you're going to refill before the last battle, then yeah, this is an easy thing to do. Just take all the heads. People aren't particularly intelligent in this group, so you just take them out. Although Juesung didn't want to listen, but he's such an easy all-out target, it's not a big deal.
Here's our last tactics points level. See what we end up with. Above 130 would be nice. Exactly 130.
Alright, that's very nice. When I do my segmented practice runs, I work on a save that does 131. I find it to be the ideal number, 130, so 130 is pretty good.
Yeah, especially without the
Lu Ji, that's another one that's a great one to fight when you're going for experience.
Yeah, we did not get the Fubing level, so It's nice to get 130. All right, well, like I said earlier, we'll finish this one up and we'll go back and refill. Yeah, this one's just such a short walk to the gates in the castle that refilling can sometimes be faster if you have a really bad fight trying to push through it.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Yeah, it can be easy to to underestimate how much time having to take out alternative strats takes versus the time it takes to just go refill, because those can really drain your time here. And now, Sun Quan decides to attack you, but if he sends his minions in first. So Tacticians, which we've seen before, super powerful but also very unintelligent. And then Lu Sun, who is one of the best characters in the game among non-tigers. Very, very smart, very, very strong. One of the few that has both 200, over 200 strength and 200 intelligence, and is also one of the characters that the Cass actually finishes with, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was Taishi C who did it, I can't remember. But now we fight a second battle with the best music in the world. We do not use Ansha on Sun Quan because he is immune. There are 3 generals in this game who are immune to Ansha, and he is one of them. So we cannot behead him the normal way. He is being very nice. He can usually use G-Man, he can use Li Jian, can cause all sorts of problems. He claims he killed his brother, and so now we have conquered Wu, and it is time to go into Wei and take out Cao Pi. But first, shopping.
I did not catch my gold there. Yeah, a little low.
That was a pretty sweet Ansha sequence there.
Yeah,
so.
It worked out perfectly.
Well, this is the last time we upgrade our helmet. We are going to upgrade the Wood H, which I believe is about a 20% damage reduction to the I can't think of what it's called now. To the next helmet, which is a I believe about a 30% damage reduction. Maybe 35, whatever. It's 90 out of 255, whatever that comes up to. And let me tell you, these guys at this level start hitting so hard that this damage reduction is very, very, very important. I've tried kind of getting through with a little bit less, and it can get brutal real fast. If, 5% difference in damage reduction adds up super fast at this point in the game. So upgrading that gear like that way is a very high importance. Xiahou Yuan, one of the most underrated generals out there, because he's not particularly difficult in this, but his base stats are actually pretty good, and he's a really nice general to get in the randomizer. Alright, Zhang Liao is much tougher. He can cause all sorts of problems. He can cause problems with Han Shui. He can cause problems with Ansha. He's also pretty smart, so he's difficult to kill with Ansha. Cao Zhen is also... we're going to throw Anshas with Zhao Yun on that, but he's actually also not super high chances to use that. And, as we just saw, Zhao Yun's head just got taken, so we will not be taking Cao Zhen's head this turn. Ansha failure, so once we got to Wei, they decided their heads were a little more sturdy. There is a randomizer for this game. It was written by me. I have not touched it in like 3 years, and so it is very, very rudimentary stages, but such a thing exists. So now you can see this is where things can go really poorly. And Cao Zhen just landed Li Jian on Zhuge Liang, which means we can't even use him for Anshas right now.
So let's do this.
So yeah, this is going poorly.
Oh.
You can see the kind of damage it can wreak. Now, what I will note, although it wasn't the case here, that the odds of a tactic landing is based upon the difference between the caster's intelligence stat and the recipient's intelligence stat. However, it's not like a formula. It is, if the difference is between this range and this range, it's this much. If the difference is between this range and this range, it's this much. And it turns out that the way they set that up, if one general is substantially less intelligent than the other general, then their odds improve once you get to a certain point. And so sometimes lower intelligence can be more dangerous than higher intelligence in certain situations. One of the enemies we're going to fight in a little bit is actually got the absolute perfect intelligence stat to give him the maximum chance to land Ansha on Zhuge Liang.
Little scary in that fight, but managed to make it through.
Now we're going to get our last character of the game. This is Zheng Wei. He is another character who's got over 200 both strength and intelligence, and also has Ansha as available. So we will use him as our Ansha person right now to give us more tactical points to use. However, it's also worth noting that we're going to hold on to Ma Liang because there are situations where we want Ma Liang as the tactician so that we can have both Zhang Wei and Zhuge Liang in the same battle to both be using Ansha since they're both so smart. And that will speed things along and make things higher chance of winning. So there are places where we still are going to use Ma Liang as our tactician, but for now we're going to let Zhang Wei be that, as we will have more tactical points and more chances to get that. There is a hidden weapon there that's another one of those blacksmith's weapons. It's actually weaker though than the Qinglong, and so we have no desire for it. Now we get to wander around this whole new windy road again.
We will see this a few more times. Hopefully not too many more times, but a few more.
It's definitely a road that is well traveled. Alright, so we're going to fight Cao Zhi's brother, or not his brother, Cao Zhi. He does have Ansha, very smart, has Wan Fu, so he can be difficult to all out. So you want to land this quickly. He can be very, very dangerous. And like I said, ordinarily in a situation like that, I'd be like, oh, well, it's backup. We can go ahead and all out. If I lose a guy, that's fine. But he has Wan Fu, he has G-Man, so he can be very, very difficult to take out if you don't land the Ansha.
Yeah, I actually wiped in this fight in practice. Once, I just used all my onshaws, none of them hit, and then I couldn't all out him because he just had done so much damage and kept Wanfuing.
And there's a few generals like that in the game where that you'll see in this point of the game where you've got to land that onshaw or you could be in major trouble. Second try, not bad. Again, 50-50 coin flip, so we're good there. Alright, so now we're going to fight Cao Pi here, who's our next big enemy. This is a guaranteed back attack. This is one of the few battles that is hard-coded to be a back attack, so it's not unfortunate that we got surprise attacked. And actually, the way everything played out was very fortunate, very minimal damage of anything. But Cao Pi is also one of those that's immune to Onshaw, so we're going to have to find other ways to deal with him. And as I was mentioning, because of the rates, or the intelligence thing, Cao Pi has a higher chance of landing an Onshaw on Zhuge Liang than any other general in the game. And speaking of Onshaws, he's not particularly dangerous outside of that, but obviously Onshaw can cause problems pretty quickly.
Alright, so let's do... nope, we don't have a Resurrect.
Yeah, so, I mentioned the hidden agility stat that we have. Well, that's, EvilAsh is making use of that right now. We know a Zhao Yun is very slow, so you can usually rely on him to go after any of these top three, Wanxing, Zhang Bao, or Ma Chao. So he, rather than using Wanfu with, say, Ma Chao, who had a chance of going before the Wanxing got the Resurrect off, he instead let Ma Chao defend and used Zhao Yun to heal Zhang Bao. Take advantage of that agility stat. We will be taking more advantage of that shortly. But now that we've gotten everybody else done, we just all out Cao Pi, like I said. Outside of the Onshaws, he's pretty tame. He only has Yin Xian, so you don't have to worry about Wanfu. You just have to worry about your character's head staying on. He says we'll be back, and while he says he'll be back, we're going to go refill all of our resources. But before that, we're going to take advantage of the last little glitch-like thing in this game, which is, so I've talked about chapters during the run. The chapters are, affect monsters, whatever, but there's also a multiplier for each chapter there's a multiplier for each chapter, and so the higher chapter are, when you beat them, the experience gain you get is multiplied by this multiplier. Well, if you are in a cave or a town or somewhere that doesn't have a zone assigned to it, you just get whatever the last zone was. Which we used to use back in the speed run to go take a battle in, Zone 3 before going through a bunch of caves in Zone 8, because the caves would draw from that. So what's happening here is we're taking a battle to Lumeng inside inside a town, and therefore we are actually getting Zone 8 experience, even though this town is in Zone 7, which is giving us more experience and is going to allow us to get the level we want to get a little later, right before just when we want to get a level that's going to get us up to 5-digit HPs, and we're going to get that right before the battle where it becomes very important.
So I used all my resurrects there getting through those fights, so I did a quick restock. Since I already have all the smoke bots I need to get to the next set of battles.
it does take like a second or so when the smoke pot expires to use the next one, and so I have, tried to route things so that I use the smoke pot before it expires, but it just so happens to be that this stretch of the game is perfectly spaced so that you cannot consistently do that. It will cost you an extra smoke pot to do it. You will still have about 5 or 6 dangerous tiles if you attempt to do that. It's really obnoxious. We're going to continue back on this windy road, and this, again, will not be our last time on this journey. You'll notice he took a few steps after that smoke pot ran off. When you walk on a bridge, bridges, you can't get encounters on them, unfortunately. So that is one nice little thing, but you can't take advantage of that with the... Well, actually, you would... forget that last sentence I just said, but that's why he took the few steps before using the smoke pot. Now, this gate guard's very unintelligent. Unfortunately, they're fast, versus Zhao Yun and Zhuge Liang, who are obscenely slow, and therefore they're all going to get a chance to attack, get one attack out before we can onshaw them. This just slows us down a little bit, but the onshaw is very likely to hit, and if it doesn't, you just all out after that. Just a little faster to throw the onshaw out than it is just to all out, and again, takes a little less damage, but not dangerous fights at all. It's a matter of how slow do you want to be and how much do you want to have to refill in a little bit.
Yeah, and I also want to conserve tactics points here from this next fight coming up here.
Again, focusing with everybody else, their fire on the rebel forces to hopefully get one down before it attacks. Unfortunately, Guanxing missed the attack and before it attacked, and so it didn't get that. We did get a failure, got a success. Again, we're just all out. You do get what you get, and then you all out the next time. And you're just hoping that you get at least one down. Usually you'll get 2. And now with this next one, this is going to be the second castle where you want to enter from a particular side. So we're going to see him enter this next battle from the left side, rather than from straight ahead. And the reason for that is because you see the water there on the east coast. I mentioned the water tactics before about, you have to be near water for those to work. Well, that side of the fight is not near water. So Cao Pi, who can use Hong Shui, which is, 1,000 damage to everybody and is slow and can do a lot of damage, is instead stuck only being able to use the fire tactic Dan Re, which is much, much less dangerous. And so you go in and go to that side, and they can't use the dangerous of fights, or of battle. So you just see him use that. If this had been by the water, he would have just hurt everybody there. Zhao Zhang, another really, really good general. And looks like last time we're just going to all out. But now, once we kill him, reinforcements are about to come in the form of Sima Yi.
Sima Yi attacks. But why?
So yeah, Sima Yi kills Cao Pi, says he wants way for his own, and uses this magic thunder to send us all the way back to Jianye Castle. So if we want to fight... So now we have to figure out a way to counter his thunder. Well, in playing casually, Liu Bei says that Guan Yu's son knows something about it. So, if you go back to Changsha and go up there, Guan Yu's son, Guan Suo, is beside him in the throne room, and he tells you he found in a book the way to counter the thunder, and it's input code: up, up, down, down, left, right, up, down. And so, we're gonna go back the fight. If we went in and he said, after we hit a button, if we don't get that code put in time, it's going to say, you can't avoid Sima Yi's thunder, and it's going to send us back to Jianya yet again. So you have to make sure that you're prepared and you get that code in time. You have a few seconds to do it, so it's not too particularly hard to do, but but at least you got to be deliberate, because if you're not, your fingers slip a little bit like that, it can cost you several minutes.
Thanks for putting the pressure on.
I don't have fast fingers at all, so I'm always very, very deliberate. I don't trust myself to be able to hit a key twice in a row, or a direction twice in a row successfully.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to do.
Yeah, I think I've missed it once, and when I missed it, it wasn't because I accidentally didn't put the code in, it was because I was just mindlessly playing and forgot I needed to put the code in until it was too late. Back to this thing one more time to go to Runan. Runan does have the single most powerful helmet for sale, but we cannot afford it, and so we go without it. Again, approaching from the left. Now, Sima Yi has... Well, I'll let him do the thunder first here. But, oh no, Thunder failed, Brute Force will fight. So after you just dispel his Thunder, you still get Surprise Attack. That's the last Cao Pi, and then this one was whatever. Now, you see him, he's using Hua Shen. That is much more powerful, but Shui Long, which is the water tactic, is even more powerful. And so by going from the west, he took less damage there. Again, that's why we always take that one from that side. Shu Shu, Yanwei are all just attacky guys, can be very, very annoying. But you'll see we put Zhuge Liang as our tactician here instead of Jiang Wei. The reason for that is because, number one, Sima Yi is also immune to Ansha. Number two, the special, or one of the tactics that very few characters get, and Zhuge Liang is one of them, is Semion. Now, Jimian nullifies all physical attacks. Semion nullifies all tactics. Well, Sima Yi not only has incredibly damaging tactics, he also has Jimian, which can cause us massive problems. He also has Wan Fu, which is a full heal. As you can see, he has 40,000 soldiers. It takes us several turns. It'll take us several turns to get all the way down, and if he uses Wan Fu, it's all wasted. It's all over. So we have to keep Semyon up at all times to make sure that he cannot use his tactics to kill us and to kill us, to nullify our attacks, and to keep himself alive. If he lands a Ximian, if he gets a Wan Fu, things go awry real fast. Right now, Semyon is holding. It's very, very nice. Unfortunately, Sima Yi's agility is also very, very high. We do plan with agility numbers about, who uses what when, to try to make sure that we don't lose, or that if it wears off, we're going to have the highest chance of getting it on, but it's not entirely reliable, and there's still a chance you could get hosed if that happens. As you just saw, he just tried to use Wan Fu, but the Semyon nullified it. So here, we got him down. So this battle is done. We can easily all out the rest of it, and we finally have finished this section of wandering the same section of way over and over and over again.
It's not over yet.
It is most certainly not over yet. See, Zhang Bao just finally got 11,000 soldiers, which is very, very nice. He now has, he can now do a whole lot more damage. We're gonna go back. We used all those smoke pots, all those power pills, all those everything to get through the, gauntlet of Cao Pi twice and Sima Yi. So now we get to go back to our penultimate shopping trip. Gonna load up on power pills for weapons. Gonna load up on a lot of smoke pots because we're going to need a lot of them. So while he's doing that, I'll just kind of trying to think of something to fill the air because it's very, very hard to talk while doing all that stuff. So we are on the final chapter of the game. We're getting close to the end, if you could tell by the estimate. But we still have some really fun RNG stuff to deal with, and it's going to be a challenge to... There's still going to be a lot of challenging things. We're going to have another battle that, should we lose, it can cost us several minutes. And we're also going to have some fun strategies going on in some of these battles as well. We are about to travel through a very long, vast section of caves. As I mentioned before we got in the habit of stocking up entirely on smoke pots. Because shopping is slow, we would go outside of Jizhou after we did all this stuff and take one battle on guys that had like 900, soldiers, and then we go through the caves with those, and we just fight. We deal with battles that had 900 soldiers, but ultimately not worth it. The problem is to get through everything and have everything you want. You are pushing your resources to the very edge right here. You need every item you put in your inventory. You do not have much wiggle room. You have a long way to go, multiple tough battles to fight before you have any kind of respite, and and random encounters in Chapter 8 are very, very dangerous because there are many random encounters that do have on-shaw. So you can accidentally run into somebody in a cave, try to run from them, and they take your head, and refilling that is quite a chore. As we have more and more HP, even our best healing tactic from Zhuge Liang, which is Jinxian, only recovers like 4,000 to 5,000 hit points, so it take a couple of those to fill you up. Now, Jinxian only takes 4 tactical points, which is one of the reasons it's so amazing, is because it's the least costly healing tactic other than the very first one, and it does the most overall healing. We also have Wan Fu, which Jiang Wei has, which is a full heal, but it costs 10 tactical points, so it's also very challenging to use. So if you lose someone, just getting them back to functional is a massive time loss. Not to mention, if you hit enough people, it's over. So it's very, very important not to fight a battle in this zone, and using whatever means necessary to avoid doing so.
All right.
And now that we've said that, we are finally in the cave system.
Yeah, this is my favorite part of the run. You get some nice cave jams. You get like 2 loops of the song, like 3 loops of the song, I think. It's one of the
cave
best songs.
Format annoys me because we talked about earlier all these walls you can walk right up against and not have any encounters, but they're perfectly placed so that you can't make use of them. You have to use smoke pots at certain parts, and then the smoke pot wears off right after you've hit all the places where the smoke pot would be valuable. To mention in chat, you recall your first playthrough and getting soft lock being able to apply the saltpeter. Yes, we discussed earlier, there is a glitch that if a tactician that is in the 7th slot of your party learns a tactic, there can be some weird things that happen, and it can result in treasure chests being marked open before you've gotten the item, which makes them ungettable, and you do soft lock. So there is actually a pretty substantial glitch that can cause soft locks, but fortunately it's a very easy glitch to avoid dealing with. For whatever reason, this green room does not have the same wall safety. Ah, finally, we're out of that cave. So nice. Now what? Oh, hey, look! Another cave.
Well, more cave jams. Oops, I forgot this expired. You know what? I'm just going to take this fight.
Nice, when you're this strong, you've got those good weapons. You can literally just 5 up, 5 down. Hey, you got a really good run without that smoke pot. I was like, he didn't use the smoke pot here. But
yeah, I
went so long, I was like, I guess I misread it.
I blanked out for a second. It's kind of easy to do after a long run like this. It's so technically involved.
And so now, that little treasure chest that we're about to get, this is the halberd. This is the most powerful weapon in the game. It has double the power of Qinglong, which is the second most powerful in the game. So it is extremely powerful, and we will use it to great extent.
Extra careful on that menu.
You saw he just did some nice menuing there, so that when you get an item, it's going to go in the first open slot in the inventory from the first person to the last person. So he had his inventory around so that when he opened that up, the halberd would go immediately to Zhao Yun, and he wouldn't have to do any passing around. That little treasure chest right there is Wan Sheng. It is another one of the legendary swords, but obviously we do not need it. You do a quick power pill pickup right here. We have used up some slots with the smoke pots we had, and as I mentioned, resources are really, really tight, so you give yourself one extra smoke pot spot where you wanted a power pill, and you replace it with that power pill that's sitting right there. Alright, we're finally out of this cave. Now we get to a pretty simple battle with Yujin before the fun really begins. But the goal here, the reason we took that battle with Lu Meng, is so that after this battle, Zhao Yun would have 10,000 soldiers, because Zhao Yun is the most powerful person in our party. Well, he and Ma Chao, but there's reasons we want to use Zhao Yun instead. We just gave him the halberd because of that. And now with 10,000 soldiers, he will be even more powerful. So he's about to be able to do a ton of damage, but only if we get him to the 10,000 soldier mark, which we just did with this level up right here. And so now, that's why we took the Lu Meng fight earlier, and did it when we did, so we got as much experience as possible. And now, Sima Yi Part 2. This battle is far trickier. Semion, even more important, because all of these are tacticians. Yang Xiu has Wan Fu. Yang Xiu also has Jimian. So even once you get Sima Yi down, it's not over. It can still be very difficult. You can typically, with how much strength we have now, with all the Beijis on, you can typically wear them down, but without having to use Semion. But it is challenging. It is very dangerous, and we're using it now. It takes 17 tactical points. That is a huge chunk of tactical points. We need to make sure we leave this battle with tactical points, because we're not done when this battle's over. So every Semion use we have is going to make the odds that we are going to have to travel those caves much, much higher. So our goal is to get out with as few uses as possible, which is why you would take your chance on all-outing, even when Yang Xiu can cause you some problems. Fortunately, I don't believe either of them have Ansha, so you're not at risk of that, but you are definitely at risk of spending a lot of time fighting, taking offensive tactics damage. Again, dealing with Li Jian, which can also be major problems. Jian Gan does that a lot, which means your guys are fighting each other. This is one of those situations where you start thinking, Sarah, do I take the risk that I'm going to get him or not?
Oh, jeez. Oh, he used somebody else. He used it on somebody else. Oh boy, that was scary.
That's where I was talking about the turn order. No matter what you try to do, he still has a good chance of doing it. But unfortunately, they also threw a G-Man out there, so Art Semyon wore off. We're gonna have to keep it up again, and but we're gonna have to wait it out, the G-Man, if it wears out. So we are in pretty bad shape right now, even though the Wanfu didn't land on him. Alright, neither one wear off, so now we're at a stalemate. It's just which one goes first.
Alright, we got him down, like I said, but we did use a lot of tactics points, and it's still not over yet.
You can choose to do one of two... Well, let's get through this battle before I start talking about strategy for what to do in the next battle based upon your tactical points. Now here we can't afford to use another one, so we're just going to take our chances at wearing them down and hoping we can get Young Shu down fast enough to not have him use Wanfu.
Alright.
There he goes. Again, not really a problem at all, so... Alright.
Oh no.
Got through that battle. A little scathed, but still a chance. So the next battle is one of those where you're going to want to have... Where you've got a guy who you've got a coin flip to land Ansha on. And he also has Ansha, and G-Man, and Wanfu. So he's very, very dangerous to fight without it. However, if your tactical points are so low, you can't really afford to take a chance with that. You can do some other strategies. You can flip it around and leave Zhuge Liang as your strategist, or you can...
Not pretty.
Or you can do... What I like to do in this situation is to make sure I on-shot the other two, and which allows the odds of me being able to just get through Shenhua by himself before getting decimated to do that. But it's a challenging thing to figure out. With Zhuge Liang, you get the healing tactic, you get Beiji, so you can improve your chances of killing without anything. But it is a tough thing to deal with. If this on-shot doesn't land, we could be in some trouble.
We lost Yun.
It's not the end of the world, because
he doesn't cast it.
He was more likely to fail.
Nice. Anyway.
All right, with that done, we're in safe mode. We're still gonna probably on-shaw rather than just fight, but that's the one that can get you. Shenhua can really get you down, but we got him down. That's safe, and now we are safe from having to repeat massive chunks of the map.
Ooh, that's always scary with how many points you have left over. It's very tight.
Yeah, I have a number of scripts and plans for how to deal with that Sima Yi fight to maximize tactical points afterwards, but yeah, one thing goes wrong, like happened in that one, and all plans are out the window. You got to just make sure you get through that battle and then try to figure out how to deal with the aftermath. But EvilAsh did a great job there. We had some fortunate on-shaw luck, and now we are on to the end game. We are now going to make Ma Liang our strategist so that we can use on-shaw with Zhuge Liang, Zhao Yun, and Jian Wei, all three of them. Jian Wei is an interesting character because you can actually recruit him after the first battle with Sima Yi, so if you do, he's not here. But there's no reason to do so, he's real easy to deal with. And so this is one of those you throw 3 on Shaws out, see what lands, and then all out the rest. It's really simple. It's not a complicated battle. The Tactician Liu Ye is not anything special, not in any kind of risk or anything, so this one's an easy one to deal with. The next one is the one where the Tactician can cause a problem. You also see we get very, very little experience. That's because we are now in Zone 2 right now. And so we aren't getting much experience, but we did get enough experience. That's going to be our last level right there. Genshin is a coin flip here, but he does have Wanfu, so he can be problematic. Has Wanfu and G-Man, so he can be problematic to get down. Not impossible, but you really, really, really want that on Shuttle Land.
Nice.
What I think about these battles is with that bridge that we just crossed, if you run out of tactical points fighting one, you can just go right back down, refill, and go on to the next. Ideally, you want to get through all 3 of these on one tank, but you don't have to.
Nope, we're short one. That's fine. What are we doing? 3, 2. No, not if I fail.
Well, at least we got the Tactician out.
Yep, that was the important one. Just a little slow here.
Yeah, the fight's easy, but it's just slow because these guys have so many hit points, so that's why we prefer to go the on-Shaw route as much as we can. Gonna go back here, fill up again, and go fight. And now we're gonna go to Luoyang, which is where Sima Yi has hidden himself at this point in time. So it's time to go take him out and save China. But wait, first we have to defeat his children. Sima Shi, Sima Zhao. Again, very, very rough battle. Both of them, I believe, have on-Shaw. Both of them have Jimian. And both of them have high intelligence, which makes them, coin flips at best to deal with. This on-Shaw that Jiang Wei is doing is only a 33% chance to hit. But nice. There we go. And it's a coin flip for Zhuge Liang on Sima Zhao.
Very nice.
And up two down. Wow. Very, very good. Very, very good on-Shaw luck. That can turn, disastrous real fast. But got a 1 and 3, got the 1 and 2, and now my destiny is to conquer the land. You can't prevent it. So now we have this battle right here, which is pretty challenging, and we can't on-Shaw Sima Yi. And he has Wanfu, whatever. We can't get through without the Semyon. So we're using this Li Huan tactic that I talked about a long time ago to escape. Now, it's funny because I also mentioned the intelligence difference mattering in terms of successive tactics. Sima Yi has incredibly high intelligence, and therefore the two characters with the highest chance to get away with that tactic are Zhuge Liang, because he's so smart, and Zhang Bao, because he's the opposite. So they both have the same chance, which is a 3 out of 8 of escaping. Everybody else's chance of getting that to land is worse. So that was actually very fortunate for them to have all gotten out on that first try. But Zhang Bao and Zhuge Liang are your best bets to get away, even though Zhang Bao is the least intelligent character on your team at this point. Now we do our final restocking here. We're going to go take on that battle again. We're going to have Zhuge Liang as your strategist, so we can use Sima Yan. And we're going to need to, we want to load up everything so we can just do all the damage as we possibly can. Again, you have to, while it's good to, know your strategy, your normal strategy, if something goes wrong, if Sima Yi gets through and throws Oan Fu out there, if Cheng Yu, who's in there, and has Ansha lands that, if anything, you have to, you've gotta be able to react to that. So we're gonna load up with plenty of things to give us some options in case things go awry. If everything goes perfectly, 4 or 5 turns and then you can all out. If everything goes poorly, you might be fighting the battle a second time.
Alright, that should do it.
Already done the very, very smart decision of making Zhuge Liang strategist. I forget to do that all the time, and I start the battle, and all of a sudden I realize I've still got Jiang Wei as the strategist, and I have to use Guifan again, and rinse and repeat. So we got that taken care of. We're going to do little smoke pots to get through the rest and not have to deal with any of these enemies. Even though we are massively above them, run odds are not based upon level differences or anything, they're just based upon enemy type, so you could still run fail 6 times from a 300 soldier general at this point. So we want to make sure we have smoke pots to clear our way the rest of the way.
Alright, here we go.
So, because we have the tactical points to spend, we're going to use Beiji on everyone. But you're going to see this is, again, a tactic used based on agility. We know that these people are all going to go in, or we know that Jiang Wei is going to go before Zhao Yun, almost certainly. It's like a 1% chance that won't happen. Because of that, in one turn, we have him use Beiji on Zhao Yun, and Zhao Yun use the power fill. So on turn 1, we can go ahead and do that damage, rather than letting him, Beiji himself, and then worrying about the power pill afterwards. So you can speed the battle up by doing it just like he did right there. As we did before, the damage done by power pills is known. It's not random at all, and so you can plot your damage accordingly. If you can math it out and know, okay, well, I'm gonna have, it also can't miss, so you can be like, well, I'm gonna have, oh, come on, Ma Chao.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, Beiji on Sima Yi can cause problems too if he's throwing out tactics. That Hu Shen being able to do 5,000 to everybody, that can become problematic, but not a big deal right now. Avoided the G-Man from Cheng Yu, and so now we know that 2 power pills are going to kill Sima Yi, and we can use the rest on Cheng Yu, including the halberd one on Cheng Yu, to really get him down. He's, again, the only other one we got. He doesn't have Wan Fu, so he's not exceptionally dangerous, but he does have Ansha. He's not that smart, so he doesn't land it at a great clip, but of course, one Ansha can be problematic. So you generally like to take an extra turn to get him down. We just saw the Ansha right there. I'm probably going to take one more turn just to make sure he goes down and we don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to worry about Sima Yan land falling off and them using G-Man where we can no longer attack. This is a guaranteed kill on this turn, and then everybody else is all melee. Really easy to go down, no risk. In the worst case scenario, if you took a lot of damage, we do have Jin Xian, which requires very few tactical points and does a lot of stuff back, just like we used Ma Chao use right here. So the rest of the battle is like guaranteed. There's no risk whatsoever. Once you get Cheng Yu down there, the risk is completely gone. And there he goes. We're gonna all out, and that will be victory and uniting China.
Yep, very, very smooth final battle there. Everything went to plan.
All in all, outside of Juga Gen and Semi 2, I feel like everything went really, really smooth. So that was a
I'd agree with that.
very, very nice run.
Thank you. So we get some last words from Asimayu here before he dies. And then we get some victory music. In true, I guess, Dragon Quest fashion, we have to invite Liu Bei one last time to the castle and talk to him. And then time will stop right at the end of this text box where it says no uprising can threaten peace again. It's time.
Sub 315 is a very, very nice time, especially using marathon strats. So
yeah, wow, that was actually almost yeah, thank you. That was almost a PB actually. It's like a minute and a half off my PB, which has granted a lot of time to improve. I've been mostly marathon practicing up till now, so definitely some room to come down. But yeah, thanks for the GGs, guys. Thanks for commentating. Also, I love this little ending sequence. You see your three, Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei, all walking around the world. Yet, they didn't actually travel these parts of the world. Not all of them. You had a different party. You get these nice character portraits. But yeah, great music in this game as well. I don't know if it was mentioned, but it's pretty obvious that the same composer that went on to make the music for DuckTales NES, this was actually his first game composing.
And those are the only two console games he ever composed for it.
Yep, I think that's right, yeah.
A very, very good resume for only putting out two soundtracks.
Yep. Yeah, it's a fun game. It's definitely it's kind of like Dragon Quest-ish, but it definitely has its own flavor, its own battle system. It's very interesting and fun to play. It has some every run's an adventure, you know, and that's what makes it kind of fun to run as well. Sometimes it gets you, and sometimes it doesn't, but it's at least keeps things interesting. But okay, well, Capcom thanks me and thanks you guys, and I will also thank you guys as well as Tila Theo and all the Destiny of Emperor community that's put a whole bunch of work into this game. Obviously, a lot of these strats came from there. And thank you guys, and enjoying the rest of the marathon.